subscribe, like the video, and, if possible, join Patreon. But if you don't have much money, you can support the channel by watching the novels on euroaudiobooks.com. Remember that you can participate in the polls so that your favorite novel gets published for free.
Domineering. Lin Fan turned his face and replied calmly. Eizan, did you forget what happened yesterday? I don't mind. Do it in front of everyone. 39. I can't do anything anyway. Eizan edema also instantly stiffened. Lin Fan passed by and threw a sentence. I can promise to eat halberds with you, which is already a great favor to you. Don't know what's wrong. There's a lot of nonsense here. Show your strength well. Don't make me feel that I'm wasting time by spending time eating with you. After speaking, Lin Fan returned to the cooking table with the ingredients. Eizan Zhijin also clenched his fists and gritted his teeth. Che, stinky boy, you won't be complacent for long. 359, 2 hours later, I'm going to stomp you under your feet. Years the two sides returned to the cooking table and began to carefully handle the ingredients. The host, Rei Kawashima, seems to be more interested in Eizan Zhijin. Her eyes were on Eizan from beginning to end, and she complimented her. However, at this time, the reaction of the students in the audience reminded Rei Kawashima. Seeing most people exclaimed. This made her look back at Lin Fan. I saw Lin Fan took out a dazzling and delicate 0.0 kitchen knife from the kitchen utensils box he brought. In the spotlight, this kitchen knife shines dazzlingly. The audience exclaimed, Light, how can this knife still shine? I heard before that the golden egg fried rice made by Lin Fan will glow. How can this kitchen knife also? This light is so dazzling. Is this really kitchen utensils? What kind of swordsmanship are you going to use again? What happened last time? The fierce ox Qinglong slash. What about this time? Everyone exclaimed. However, Eizan, who was beside him, widened his eyes and looked at Lin Fan, the 7-star sword. I was a little surprised, but I didn't think it was amazing. Cut, it's just a knife, and it's whirring. Eizan didn't complain about it, and went on to deal with the ingredients. And then, before everyone reacts to discuss it, Lin Fan still followed the old rules, took the knife in his hand, and turned it in a smart circle. Afterwards, I only heard him blur out a sentence calmly. 7 stars, instant broken sword dance. Chapter 78, first release black garlic beef grain. 2/7 for subscription. Everyone in the venue was shocked. Just after hearing Lin Fan's words, Ing raised his arm, and the kitchen knife in his hand quickly drew bright arcs. Whoosh whoosh, knife after knife. Was called sword light, sword shadow. The same is true. He couldn't see the gesture at all, only the shadow of the knife left after swiping the beef quickly. In just a moment, the beef was cut into small square pieces. There are edges and corners. Each one seems to be the same size. Even more startling in the spotlight, this beef granule seems to glow, dazzling like a diamond. Exclamation. Everyone in the venue exclaimed. Light. In the spotlight, the beef grains are also shining like stars. Why is that? Because of the glowing kitchen knife cutting out glowing ingredients? This is incredible. By the way, did Lin Fan add any special effects? Or post-production special effects? Impossible. Sitting in the back and watching the screen, thought it was a special effect. If it was a special effect, why would the people in the front row be so excited? If that's the case, how horrible is this Lin Fan's knife work? Fearful to think about, the students were talking. Rei Kawashima on the stage was originally from Eizan Zhijin. Suddenly, he hurried to the front of Lin Fan's cooking table. At first glance, it was a surprise. To the cameraman, he said, Quick, give a close-up shot. The cameraman hurried over, adjusted the macro, and 08 put the lens on the sliced beef. Eizan Zhijin couldn't bear it anymore, put down the kitchen knife in his hand, and strode over. Kawashima Rei exclaimed, Have you seen it? Not only does this beef granule shine like a star, but the meaty nerves are still beating. 35, my God. Is it already cut into such small pieces, or has it avoided nerves precisely and accurately? 35. And just now, what did Lin Fan say before the knife? 7 stars, instantaneous sword dance. I vaguely remember that the last time he showed his superb sword work, It was the ox and the dragon, right? Is this another magical sword technique after the fierce ox and green dragon slash? Eizan Zhijin also rushed forward and took a closer look. Every piece of beef, according to his experience, is exactly the same size and shape. This, if I'm not mistaken, every grain of beef weighs the same. 35 saying that. Eizan Zhijin also took out a scale by himself. Ignoring the eyes of the people around me, I subconsciously put the beef granules on the scale. The weight of each grain, not more or less, is just right. Wow, once again, there was a surprise off the field. You must know that at such a fast speed, the fleshy fibers can be accurately avoided without damaging the fleshy nerves. It is impossible to make sure that they're the same shape, size, and even weight. However, Lin Fan did it. In Eizan's view, it doesn't seem like he's cooking. It's more like Lin Fan, who has practiced his inner body, has accomplished a very remarkable exercise. I have never seen such a powerful knife. Eizan Zhijin also froze in place, staring blankly at the beef diced by Lin Fan. Lin Fan saw it and smiled calmly. What? It's just cutting a piece of meat? And it surprised you like this? It seems that your cooking skills are not as good as you say. It's not even comparable if you don't. Just announce your retirement. Don't waste my time. 99 Lin Fan said in a mocking tone. Eizan Zhijin also suddenly reacted. He has always been aloof and prudent, and it is really hard to say anything about the gaff just now. However, Lin Fan's swordsmanship, if he didn't take a look at it, he would definitely not feel at ease. Afterwards, Eizan Zhijin also pretended to be calm, pretending to be okay, and returned to his cooking table. But it was Lin Fa's swordsmanship that kept lingering in his mind. It surprised him so much. As the host, Rei Kawashima was excited and brought the microphone to Lin Fan. He asked about the 7-star saber again. I didn't want to talk about it at first, seeing so many viewers looking forward to it. Lin Fan calmly smiled and said, I said before that the 7-star knife is a series of kitchen knives that I tailor-made. Every kitchen knife will match the perfect knife technique according to the shape and size of the knife. Rei Kawashima continued to ask, such a powerful kitchen knife. That must be very rare. Classmate Lin brought it out in such a high-profile manner, and I see that you put it in a kitchen utensils box at will. Are you really afraid of being stolen by someone with a heart? Lin Fan smiled and shook his head. Don't worry, this kind of thing won't happen. The 7-star knife, as well as these blade techniques, are all made according to my own habits. Even with standard knife skills and high-end knife techniques, each chef, the intensity he uses is adjusted according to his own habits. So even if it is stolen by someone with a heart, this knife is just a piece of scrap metal. Kawashima Rei nodded, but asked curiously, so, if I learned how to use a knife, wouldn't it be enough without a specific kitchen knife? Lin Fan still shook his head and smiled. Your idea is only half right. Such conditions are only suitable for me. I can change to different knives and use the same knives. Just saying, with a special knife, it's the icing on the cake, isn't it? Having said that, Lin Fan pointed to the beef grains. Look carefully, the core of 7 stars. Instant broken sword dance is not only fast. It can be said that there's also the figure of the fierce bull Qinglong's hand. But there's a difference between the two. But I won't say anything different here. Wait a minute and you'll find out. Pat, 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 the audience applauded again. Seeing this, Rei Kawashima also silently retreated to the corner, as if not intending to disturb Lin Fan. This action of Lin Fan put pressure on Eizan Zhijin on the side. I have been pondering in my heart that such a powerful knife technique, the perfect meat quality cutout, already has an advantage in taste. However, at this time, Eizan Zhijin also began to ask himself why. He and the people of Totsuki, why are they always pursuing the high level of ingredients? There's also the high-end level of cooking, but no one pays attention to this knife technique. Eizan Zhijin also clearly felt that he was at a loss in this battle. In terms of Lin Fan's knife skills, it is simply the icing on the cake for the best beef at A5 level. Thinking of this, Eizan Zhijin also began to sweat coldly on his forehead. Subconsciously, he made a gesture of swallowing saliva. He glanced at Lin Fan quietly again. Seeing that he has already started to heat the oil, he is ready to cook. It can be seen that the guy wants to cook Chinese food again. In this way, his cooking can be completed in less than an hour. Lin Fan sighed after the oil is warm. Bola still familiar, the sound of hot oil touching the ingredients. In an instant, the fragrance of onion, ginger, and garlic burst out. Even the roast beef aroma of Eizan Zhijin was overshadowed. The eyes of everyone off the field were fixed on Lin Fan's cooking, because they don't know if Lin Fan is making any novel dishes. Sudden, boom, the familiar flames burst out of the pot 0-20 instantly. The scene was very hot. The aroma is also stronger, which is the special aroma of beef. Wow, there was an uproar off the field. The host, Rei Kawashima, subconsciously leaned back. Afterwards, Lin Fan flipped the spoon twice, and then the beef was put on a plate. A plate that is tender and juicy, looks very beefy, and is fried just like that. Kawashima Rei asked suspiciously, "Is this dish also stir-fried beef?" I remember that Lin Fan seems to have done it before. I don't know if the taste is the same this time. The voice just fell. Lin Fan picked up the fried beef and said with a smile, "Beef with black garlic. Please try it." Wow, there was an uproar again. Rei Kawashima asked curiously, "Beef with black garlic?" 35. So, in this plate of beef grains, are the black grains black garlic? 35. Lin Fan nodded and smiled. Yes, black garlic. The taste is soft and sweet, but it does not have the pungent smell and taste like raw garlic. The appearance and taste are closer to preserved fruit. I use it with beef. It's a brand new attempt. I believe the 3 judges will love it. Saying that, Lin Fan glanced at Eizan Zhijin. Seeing him at this moment, he was still standing in front of the oven, waiting for his beef to be ready. Lin Fan strode to the jury with black garlic beef diced. Here is the cute dividing line. Chapter 79, My Power. You can't understand it. 3/7 for subscription. Lin Fan took the prepared dishes and walked to the judge's seat with big strides. Deliberately passed by Eizan Zhijin's side. Lin Fan smiled and said, "I'm calling you a senior at the end. In the future, when you have a long snack, when doing this kind of laborious cooking, first look at who your opponent is." 35. Not all dishes, as long as they are expensive, complex, and high-end, they will be delicious. After speaking, Lin Fan turned around. Put the black garlic beef in front of the judges. The 3 judges acted in unison, leaning over to look carefully. One of the judges said, "This black garlic, with all due respect, I've never eaten it." Another judge said, "I have tried it, but in terms of taste, it may be a little. I don't know what kind of wonderful taste Lin Fan makes." 5. One of the judges was pleasantly surprised. "I really like black garlic. It tastes very good." And Lin Fan's beef with black garlic just smells it. It's very appetizing. The color and the senses are amazing. Well, I can't wait to try it. Saying that, the judge was the first to pick up the chopsticks. Add a piece of beef, eat it in your mouth, and chew it carefully. Watching him keep nodding while chewing, as if he couldn't stop. The judges in the middle also picked up a piece and ate it. Shocked. Suddenly, he made a surprised expression and looked sideways at his companion. After chewing the beef quickly and swallowing it, I picked up half of the black garlic and ate it. After a long period of fermentation, the protein contained in garlic is decomposed into amino acids, and the carbohydrates are decomposed into fructose. Because of this, black garlic can completely retain garlic amino acids. It's similar to the taste of preserved fruit. It combines the taste of beef. Even people who don't like it will find it very delicious. Get rid of boredom. The key is, the judge didn't finish his words, and the one on the far side suddenly became excited. "I love black garlic. This black garlic is almost unprocessed, and then a little bit of butter is added." Lin Fan calmly smiled and said, "Yes, the black garlic was quickly passed by me with butter. So, on the surface of the black garlic, there will be a buttery, rich, milky flavor. In this way, the unique taste of black garlic can be made more palatable. It seems to have the taste of preserved fruit, and it has a strong aroma. The key is beef. The outside is cooked and the inside is tender. Before stir-frying, I use cooking wine and other spices to remove the odor. I use a little bit of white wine to give the beef a fruity aroma, making it more refreshing. 95. Finally, combine the butter-coated beef with the wine-adsorbed diced beef. On a high fire, you only need to stir-fry it a little to make it more flavorful. Refreshing taste is the core of this dish. Streamlined seasonings maximize the flavor of the ingredients themselves. 39. I think this is the way to respect high-end ingredients. It would be a shame to use too many spices to cover up the taste of this ingredient. After these words came out, everyone subconsciously looked at Eizan Zhijin. After all, before his roast beef is put into the oven, a lot of cumbersome processes are added. The three judges nodded meaningfully. Then, I couldn't help but taste it again. And this time, after eating, the status of the three judges changed instantly. On the second bite, I noticed the texture of the beef. Yes, because Lin Fan used the relationship between Qixing and Shun Duan Daowu before, the texture of the beef has been enriched. 99. Each piece of beef is the same size. The most exaggerated thing is that after cooking, the shape of the meat remains the same size. After the judges finished speaking, they began to pick up beef for comparison. Exactly the same. This is even more awesome. The judges were eating and eating, suddenly moved and entered the state of self again. As if the people in this venue are invisible, they only enjoy the moment. If you give me a bowl of rice, I'll be completely satisfied. A judge sighed. However, even more outrageous. Lin Fan seemed to have expected this scene long ago and made use of the time left in the production to cook the rice. So, he turned around and silently returned to the cooking area. The rice in a rice cooker is just right. The pot was opened, and one bowl of rice was brought to the judge's table. Lin Fan said with a smile, "This rice is also very elegant when it is steamed and watered. So, with this black garlic beef, is the pinnacle of this dish." The judges were surprised. Thumbs up one by one. Serve with steaming rice. The judge put the beef grains on the rice and scooped a large spoon with the rice. Serve hot and eat in your mouth. Shock. It's an expression of surprise. I saw that the judges had no time to speak, but couldn't help eating one bite after another. This scene shocked the students off the field. It's just a side of rice. Is it so delicious? Looking at the judges, it seems like what seasoning is added to the rice. Otherwise, it's impossible. Isn't it just a bowl of white rice? Can't be so exaggerated. I think it's a psychological effect. 95. Whether it's a psychological effect or not, in my opinion, the taste of the beef with the soup poured on the rice, I couldn't help drooling while sitting here watching it. I really want to eat it. Oh my God. Can you stop eating and tell me how you feel? 99. The students were very loud. This made Kawashima Rei, who was standing on the side, suddenly recovered. Even as a professional host, she was stunned. I couldn't help but make a gesture of swallowing saliva, silently walked to Lin Fan, looked at the judges and smiled. Everyone. Can you tell everyone? Is there a universe in this rice? The judge in the middle quickly ate all the rice, and then his face was still full of interest. Looking at the beef on the plate, he has eaten up with excitement. He said, "There are plums in this rice." Wow, the crowd was in an uproar. Kawashima Rei exclaimed, "Plums? It's sour plums? Cooked with sour plums added to the rice? In this case, wouldn't it be more appetizing and refreshing?" 35. The three judges nodded in succession. It's chopped up sour plums and added to the rice. It's not big, but you can eat it out. It's really hearty cooking. 35. The judges sighed. Lin Fan smiled. When cooking rice, I thought of it temporarily. This is also what I usually think of in the research club, because of the local tastes of the members. A little bit of their favorite sour plum minced meat. Not only does it increase the texture of the rice, it also makes it more chewy. This time, the scene could no longer be controlled. All the reels were thrown to one side, and Lin Fan was the winner. Lin Fan smiled complacently and turned to look at Eizan Zhijin. See him still waiting for the beef in the oven. This feeling of helplessness and panic, I am afraid that only he can understand. The judges, as well as the audience, silently waited for Eizan Zhijin. Half an hour passed. At this moment, 1 hour and 20 minutes have passed since the specified time. In addition, Eizan Zhijin also marinated the beef for 10 minutes, fry it until panicked for 10 minutes, and baked it in the oven for at least 1 hour. Only his barbecue can be considered complete. However, the audience at the scene felt sweaty after watching Lin Fan's cooking. Looking back at Eizan Zhijin, he was obviously a little impatient. Grave accent saying, "How long do I have to wait? I'm a little hungry." Yeah, if I had to say, Lin Fan is really good at making this dish in 40 minutes. And it looks delicious and hassle-free. 35, it's too hard to wait, I kind of want to go. It's because I'm hungry. After seeing Lin Fan's cooking, I remember to come. We came right after school, and we haven't had dinner yet. Why don't you go away? Let's go. Let's go. I'm talking about eating first. Maybe I can see the results when I come back. The students talked and even started to get up to leave. This made Eizan Zhijin, who was waiting, panic even more. The cold sweat on his forehead kept pouring out. This dish of his, before making it, is so carefully outlined and matched. It turns out, why does this Lin Fan not play cards according to common sense? Normally, even if Lin Fan took an hour to cook, it would not widen the time gap that much. But Eizan Zhijin didn't think so either. This guy actually chose such a simple dish, and it was well received by the reviewers. Eizan Zhijin became more and more flustered as he watched the audience gradually leaving the venue. This is not something to challenge the halberd eating power of the Totsuki Elite 10 throne. This is a halberd that uses everything as a bet. He can't afford to lose, and he can't lose. At this time, a reviewer finally broke the deadlock, seeing him say, "I vote for Lin Fan." This chapter contains pictures. Click the illustration button in the lower right corner of the screen to view the pictures. Chapter 80. Unfortunately, I took the position of these 9 seats for 7th for subscription. One of the judges and I couldn't stop talking. The students in the auditorium, who haven't left yet, stopped and were stunned. My God, voted before I even tasted it? What a hell of a move. 35. I can't believe it. That's one of the Elite 10. Is it the worst Elite 10 ever? So let's just say you still can't relax. You should study cooking well. What kind of business are you doing? Since that's the case, there's nothing to see after walking away. I feel like it's almost a foregone conclusion, although I'm surprised. Indeed, this result is quite unexpected. But to be honest, whoever loses is surprised. That's not true. Aishin lost. It was the Elite 10, and he lost to the new student. If Lin Fan lost, he is the king of newcomers. Even if the senior Qinglong can defeat the opponent, where is the difference? Go. Let's go. Let's talk about it when we eat. The students left while talking. This picture really seems to be gone. But in fact, this game is not over yet. Eizan also on stage. His roast beef is still in the oven, trying hard to mature. However, the judge in the middle had a very ambiguous expression. Is your decision too hasty? As a professional judge, I need to taste Eizan's cuisine before making a decision. The judge who voted first said, "Because I really like this black garlic dish by Lin Fan." 35. I'm going to vote for this no matter what. I really like it. The judge at the edge said helplessly, "Hey, Eizan is at a disadvantage at this time. Who would have expected Lin Fan to choose such a quick meal?" 0:20. The judges are chatting. At this moment, the students in the venue are almost gone. The rest, in addition to Lin Fan's diehard fans, are Eizan's confidants. Lin Fan could finally imagine this scene. Zhang Yimei, the president of Qinglong, said that when he was eating halberds, except for the 2 dogs that came smelling the smell, there was no other audience. What a desolate scene. So, Lin Fan calmly walked past Eizan's cooking counter. By the way, he left a sentence. "It's all right. For this sake, you do it slowly. There's still half an hour." After he finished speaking, he walked to the edge of the stage, sat down, and hung his legs, wandering leisurely, chatting with Polar Star dorm members. At this time, Eizan Zhijin also wanted to go forward and smash Lin Fan to pieces. However, he couldn't do it. What a shame. Never been like this before. Such a shame. After half an hour, the venue is very deserted. The 3 judges almost fell asleep. Eizan Zhiji's cooking is finally ready. Charming roast beef. It's been a long wait, everyone. Good things take time to settle, unlike some people's cooking, which is so impetuous. Saying that, Eizan Zhijin also sighed. It was finally completed on schedule. Holding his dishes, he silently walked to the judging department. The three judges breathed a sigh of relief. As a professional reviewer, for the first time, I felt that the waiting time was so long. Then the three of them came together to take a closer look. The beef is roasted just right. It really takes time to settle down. Thinly sliced beef, layer after layer, posed the shape of a blooming flower. At this time, a judge picked up a piece and ate it in his mouth, surprise. Oh, before roasting the beef, I fry the beef with a lot of butter to make it taste good. In this respect, it is somewhat similar to Lin Fan's beef. It's just, the judges began to chew carefully. The middle judge said, after entering the oven, Eizan used a lot of cheese, wrapped it in the beef, and put it in the oven. 99. With the passage of time, the rich aroma of cheese has gradually penetrated into the beef. Makes the most perfect roast beef ever. I have to say, the heat and power of this beef is really just right. 35. The last judge nodded in succession. Eizan Zhijin also finally showed a proud smile. As if winning the ticket, he looked down at Lin Fan and said, Lin Fan, although this little episode today made me very unhappy, but seeing you lose, everything is worth it. Speaking of which, the judges suddenly interrupted. Wait, I want to say I vote for Lin Fan. 99. Eizan Zhijin also smiled fleetingly, turned around and said in shock, what? The last remaining judge also shook his head and said, although he voted for Lin Fan, you have already lost, and my vote can't reverse the situation. But what I want to say is, I also vote for Lin Fan. 99. Wow, the only people left are stunned. The Polar Star dorm members cheered. It is even more so that some people did not leave because they stayed to live broadcast to those who left. For a moment, many people exclaimed in front of the camera of the mobile phone. See, no, this is the end result. 35. Although the situation was already decided when you left, but after the final result came out, I was still shocked. Eizan also lost. That Totsuki business wizard, Eizan Zhijin, who holds the title of alchemist, the 9th seat of the Totsuki Elite 10, lost AAA. I lost completely. I lost my bottoms. This game of eating halberds will ruin the family, and there will be nothing left. The students looked at the camera of the mobile phone. The more they talked, the more excited they became. Eizan Zhijin was also in disbelief, kept shaking his head and backing away. Impossible, so possible. My beef is carefully roasted. So to speak, it has reached the ceiling of roasting. Why? It also uses the least amount of seasoning to express the essence of the beef. Impossible. How is it possible? Lin Fan calmly walked in front of Eizan Zhijin. This time it was him, looking at him with a condescending attitude, then sneered. The answer is very simple. I prejudged your prejudgment. Eizan Zhijin was also shocked. Lin Fan laughed. Surprising, right? How did I know? I have to say, you and that Mimisaka Subaru are really not a family that doesn't enter the house. The methods used are so despicable and unhealthy. Eizan Zhijin also broke out in a cold sweat and hesitantly said, I don't understand what you're talking about. 55. Lin Fan laughed. According to my investigation, don't you just like to interfere with your opponents? Why did you make roast beef? Why did you just use simple seasoning? 1,000 calculations. I didn't think I would do it so fast, right? I thought it was about the same time as me, but I saw that I used wine and sour plums, even if it was black garlic. Together, the taste will be slightly sweet, even if not so heavy. So a lot of artichokes are used, right? Want to get ahead of me and disturb the judge's tastes to confuse the winner? But who would have guessed? Lin Fan said, while looking at Eizan Zhijin. At this time, he was sweating profusely. Lin Fan continued to laugh. But it's already made, so should the artichokes be placed? But it doesn't make much sense. It can even backfire. Wow. There was another uproar in the venue. It turned out that the students who had left earlier saw the live broadcast and quickly returned. Just came across this scene. The humiliating scene of Eizan Zhijin being hanged by Lin Fan. I'm going. This is just in time. Eizan Senpai is actually playing this trick? What about the chef's heart? That's it. 99, it was worth the trip back. The students began to discuss frantically again. At this point, the judge interrupted. Indeed, after tasting it, I actually don't like the taste of artichokes. Another judge nodded and said, Indeed, it feels a bit superfluous, especially after eating Lin Fan's black garlic beef. I'm a little tired of trying this artichoke. Lin Fan came with an imposing manner, and his tone began to be aggressive. Eizan also kept retreating. Lin Fan kept approaching. According to our previous agreement, if you lose, all your assets are mine. This is a public halberd. You can't let it go. If you come here, you will drop out of school, and you will... One thing I just thought of, you're the 9th seat of the Elite 10. You dropped out. This position will be vacated. As it should be, he is mine. I have succeeded in the challenge. Actually, I had no interest in this Elite 10 position. But I still have to thank you. I gave it in vain. Then I will accept it with reluctance. And you, Eizan Zhijin, congratulations. You are out early. Goodbye. We will be indefinitely. Chapter 81 Elite 10 Council Rules. I am a rules. 5/7 for subscription. Day Lin Fan defeated Eizan Zhijin 2. Lin Fan finished his abuse of Eizan Zhijin and successfully obtained the position of Elite 10. Lin Fan goes against the routine and blows up his predecessor, Elite 10. News of this kind, overwhelming, spread throughout Tsuki. Tsuki's office, the news about Lin Fan spreads like a plague, and everyone knows it all over Tsuki. Nakiri Senzaman, sitting in an office chair. Holding Tsuki Weekly in his hand, he read it carefully. The first few pages of the weekly magazine, even the cover, are all pictures of Lin Fan. Nakiri Senzaman said, This kid is really strong. 35, looks like I underestimated him. At the beginning, I thought his potential had not yet been tapped. So, I specifically told him to take good care of him. Unlock the potential of this child. I didn't expect that his own strength is very strong. Although I didn't watch him eat halberds in private with Shinomiya, but I didn't miss a match in Tsuki. It's all under observation. This kid's strength may be higher than Elite 10. Nakiri Senzaman sighed. In his office, the assistant was sorting out the information. Hearing what the old man said, he immediately replied, Senior Zaman, do you mean that Lin Fan's cooking skills are above the Elite 10? Even the chief, Aishi Tsukasa, the assistant didn't finish his sentence and looked at Nakiri Senzaman. He shook his head for a while, then shook his head and said, Not sure, I'm just guessing. After all, this child cooks Chinese dishes a lot from start to finish, and may be more partial. If it is a 1v1 Chinese cuisine, I dare to say responsibly that in the current food circle, it is difficult to surpass him. But it's hard to say if you put it all together. This fall selection should be a very good opportunity. It's a good practice, the assistant replied. I heard that yesterday, Lin Fan has successfully won the 9th seat of the Elite 10. And it's shocking that Eizan Zhijin was also kicked out of Tsuki. This is something I didn't expect. So, he is definitely indispensable in the list of this fall selection. The assistant looked worried and said, I'm a little worried. Lin Fan, since he joined Tsuki, has been very high profile, so he has also solved a lot of problems. These students are taking him on the surface. Suddenly entered the Elite 10, I'm afraid members of the council. And this time the selection list is directly selected by the Elite 10 Council. I'm worried he'll be sidelined. Shall we get involved in this? Nakiri Senzaman shook his head and said, You think too much. It's normal to be excluded. These people in the council, who are used to being arrogant, suddenly have someone they consider ordinary to barge in, and this person is not doing things according to the regulations, and he will definitely be excluded. But isn't this also a compulsory course for exercise? If there's a conflict, use the Tsuki method to resolve it. 35. If you win, you can teach others a good lesson. If you lose, you will let him know how much he weighs. The little assistant suddenly realized after hearing this. Senior is still thoughtful, so let's wait and see. Tsuki Elite 10 office building Lin Fan came under the building and took a look. It was indeed much more luxurious than his small research institute. According to the rules, he took over the position of Elite 10, and he needs to report today. Coincidentally, today is the day the Elite 10 Council decides who will be selected for the fall trials. Squeak! Lin Fan pushes open the door of the Elite 10 conference room. The conference table was already full of people, and he was the only one missing. Lin Fan was a little embarrassed and walked in calmly, seeing that there was still an empty seat left. Without further ado, that is his position. Step up and sit down. The atmosphere in the room was very strange, and everyone's eyes fell on him. Everyone thinks differently, except for Ishiki Satoshi and Nakiri Arena, and I have a long time, and the rest Lin Fan has never seen. After sitting down, the first to break the silence was the silver-haired boy who was sitting in the middle, beating an extremely gentleman. Seeing him smile gently. Welcome our new member, 9. I'm afraid most of you here don't know each other. After all, you are freshmen, and members of the council are usually very busy. I'll introduce myself first. I'm Eishi Tsukasa, and I'm the Elite 10 Chief. Lin Fan saw that he was kind and gentlemanly, so he smiled and nodded. Nice to meet you. Next, Eishi Tsukasa turned his attention to the red-haired girl beside him. Then he smiled. This is the second seat of Elite 10, Kobayashi Renan. We are all about to graduate, and the other members don't usually see us, let alone you. 35 I saw Eizan Zhijin, showing the little tiger teeth at the corner of his mouth. Looking at Lin Fan after a while, he smiled meaningfully. You are Lin Fan? I've admired the name for a long time. I haven't been in school for a while, but you have a good reputation, and I also know you through the mouths of others. A person who can compare Eizan to the same level is no small feat. If there is a chance, I would like to learn from you. 35 after finishing speaking, Xiaolin Rintan did not speak. At this moment, there was silence. However, Ishiki Satoshi laughed. Hey, what's the matter with everyone? Members of the council, every time they get together, do they have to make the atmosphere so heavy? Anyway, this is also a welcome party for new members. Can you introduce everyone one by one? Let's start from the third seat next. I don't know who it is, suddenly whispered. Welcome? Nothing to welcome. Although the voice is small, it can be heard by everyone. This time, the atmosphere was freezing cold. When Lin Fan came, he had expected this group of people to be like this. You know, even those ordinary students look at themselves with tinted glasses. How could this group of self-righteous, aloof Elite 10 accept him sincerely? You can think of picking your toes. Therefore, Lin Fan said calmly, Senior Ishiki, you don't need to be so troublesome. What a welcome party. The purpose of my visit today is to report and deal with the first thing after taking office. As for Flower 00, isn't it just to determine the roster for the autumn trials? Then let's go directly to the topic. Save it here. You look at me awkward. I also see you uncomfortable. You, after a long time, Zhaoji just said a word and swallowed it back. His eyes were full of disdain, but he didn't want to say it. However, at this time, sitting opposite Lin Fan, a larger boy finally couldn't help but speak. Boy, please be more polite. This is the council, not in your club, nor is it a freshman ceremony. After finishing speaking, there was a purple-haired lowly next to him, holding a bear in his hand. Suddenly, she said to the boy, Hey, Saito-sama, you are too. If you don't speak, you are a boring gourd, and you won't forgive anyone when you open your mouth. Saito-sama broke the dull atmosphere at the moment. His words also spoke the hearts of most people. Afterwards, Saito-sama continued. Am I right? 35, just him. The position of Elite 10. What the hell is this kid? Lin Fan immediately retorted. You have to be careful when you speak. How can I be? This position was won by me, Lin Fan, righteously. What? Are you not convinced? 9, that only proves that you, one of the Elite 10, has the same filth in your heart as that guy Eizan. It's normal for him to use means, and I could defeat him with my strength. In other words, how can you be in that position? Wow, Lin Fan's words completely made the people in the conference room boil. Ishiki Satoshi was busy working as an old man. Hey, I said Lin Fan, you should say less. You too. He's new to the council. I'm afraid there are still many places that he's not used to. Let's understand each other. Saito-sama's temper came up. Seeing him slap it on the table, he reprimanded. The council is in Tsuki, and it can decide all related matters, but it doesn't need to pass the chief. Then I will express my attitude now. This Lin Fan, I do not accept him into Elite 10. This freshman, even if he wins Eizan, his qualifications are not enough. Next, old rules, let's vote. Lin Fan smiled. Ishiki Satoshi and Nakiri Arena, their eyes focused. Nakiri Arena said, I don't think it's necessary. Before he finished speaking, Lin Fan immediately replied, Elite 10 has a reputation for being very powerful. 39 Me too. I have long wanted to come and experience it. Since you are so dissatisfied with me, why don't you come first? I beat you until you are convinced. In other words, let's all go together. I want to see how strong you are. Convince all of you at once. Save you the trouble in the future. 99. What I want to say is, what council rules are irregular? I am the rules. At this moment, there are 9 people left in the council. All eyes are on Lin Fan alone. Chapter 82 Head-to-Head the Council. Shocking all 4. June 7th for subscription. Totsuki's survival gameplay. All the conflicts in the school will be solved by eating halberds? Since you don't like me, I also don't like you. Then why should everyone make compromises? It's uncomfortable to sit here. If you're not convinced, just use the method of eating halberds and fight until you are convinced, so that you won't be chatting like this in the future. 5 Lin Fan said it very seriously. Nakiri Arena's first reaction was to object. Lin Fan, this is the council. I think you are wayward. 39 Nakiri Arena wants to find the stairs for Lin Fan to go down. However, Lin Fan was a little surprised that the word willful came from the mouth of the eldest lady. However, Saito semi-retorted, I think there is nothing wrong with Lin Fan's words. I just made it clear that I hate him. So, I accept his challenge of eating halberds. What do you think? Don't think I'm bullying the newcomer. He challenged our bottom line first. If you don't teach him a lesson, this guy won't be able to make Tsuki fall out in the future. 0 Sankey? Saying that, Saito-sama looked at Lin Fan and said calmly, I'm not that unreasonable person either. I don't need you to gamble on your wealth and drop out of school. If you lose, just quit the Elite 10 Council. Akakubo Momo on the side smiled and said, Hey, big man, you have a good idea. Count me in. Lin Fan, I also accept your challenge application, but the premise is that you have to win the big man, so that you have a chance to play against me. Lin Fan also laughed. Then if you lose, sorry, the position is mine. 35 Next. The remaining members also expressed their opinions. I've been following the rules for a long time. Since I lost to Lin Fan carelessly last time, I've been looking for an opportunity to have a decent fight with him again. This time it's good, the opportunity is rare, and I agree on the spot. Ishiki Satoshi there, since the night Lin Fan stayed at Polar Star Dorm. At that time, I originally wanted to use up my strength, but due to various reasons, it failed in the end. This time, he also wanted to give Lin Fan a try, so he readily agreed and said, Lin Fan, don't think too much, I really want to learn from you. Like the night you first stayed at Polar Star Dorm. Lin Fan nodded. Nakiri Arena, from start to finish, watched Lin Fan cook. She also wanted to give it a try. What exactly was Lin Fan's strength? So without thinking much, I agreed. The Elite 10 Council, in this manner, unanimously passed their first meeting. Afterwards, it is the confirmation of the council that decides the number of places to be selected for the autumn trials. Among these students, all of them may eventually become the new Elite 10. However, when Nakiri Arena was looking through the list, she suddenly saw a name, and she frowned slightly. Then put the list on the table and said, This student, Luo Fail. Lin Fan felt that the eldest lady was ill again. Picking up the student list, it turned out to be Yukihira SMA. It is inevitable that he is a little surprised. Where did Yukihira offend you? 9 Nakiri Arena was surprised. Then I was a little embarrassed, and he hesitated. No. 99 Lin Fan was a little embarrassed when she saw that she was out of face, and said hastily, since that's the case. This freshman's strength is also very strong. After all, he is a member of my club, and I know his strength relatively well. I don't think there's anything wrong with him being selected for the fall tryouts. If there are no problems, these lists will be finalized. Nakiri Arena was slightly embarrassed, obviously wanting to say something. But the words came back again. Afterwards, The other members looked at Yukihira SMA's profile. It was also unanimously passed, and I felt that there was no problem. In the end, Lin Fan attended the first meeting of the council, and that was the end. When leaving, Saito Soki reminded, "I'll say it first. Tomorrow I will be the first to challenge Lin Fan. After all, I am afraid that you will defeat him first. I have no chance to teach him a lesson." 99 other members expressed no objection. Only Eishi Tsukasa said with a helpless expression, "Hey, I really don't understand. What's the point of you coming and eating halberd all day? Ingredients, food, aren't they just for enjoyment?" 35, "It's really helpless. I have a very busy day, and I want to accompany you." Akakubo Tao jokingly said, "It's because Senior C is too busy, so occasionally relax, like eating halberds. It's very interesting." Eishi Tsukasa shook his head and followed Lin Fan away one after another. It happened to be the weekend. The news that Lin Fan was going to single out the Elite 10 spread throughout Totsuki on the first day. After all, this is a top priority. It is the first person in the history of Totsuki. As a freshman, it is already outrageous to challenge Elite 10 and even one-on-one Elite 10. Therefore, even if it is a weekend, the students certainly do not want to miss such a good show. Come to Totsuki early in the morning, just like you usually go to school. Of course, this news also reached Nakiri Senzaman's ears for the first time. He made a choice that shocked all the students even more and was still one of the judges of this time. This has been a top priority for Totsuki in recent years. There is nothing more explosive than this. It is still a familiar venue, and the outside is full of students preparing to enter. The waiting time is still the time for everyone to gossip and chat. A group of 3 or 5 people began to discuss. I really didn't expect that when I was about to graduate, I would be able to witness this unprecedented halberd. That's not right. I just thought that Lin Fan was arrogant. But I didn't expect that he was really brainless. Yeah, maybe it's because after defeating Eizan, he floated up and couldn't find his position. Winning Eizan Zhijin, actually, I can't understand. But singled out Elite 10, this is outrageous. Don't you know? Someone has opened. I bought Lin Fan and lost. Huh, you still need to guess? It's a matter of course, but Lin Fan's odds of winning are very high. So there are people who are playing Heartbeat. Ho ho, if Lin Fan really wins, it's not only hell, it's shit luck. Actually, most of them are buying Lin Fan and losing a few games, or whoever loses, I bought him and lost to Eishi Tsukasa. Insurance, no suspense, no loss. 46-inch. The students were talking frantically. 0. Of course, Lin Fan learned from Polar Star Dorm. Those who buy the winning or losing odds directly are all members of Polar Star Dorm. The reason is very simple. That is, simply want to support him. Money. This is already irrelevant. However, Lin Fan did not forget to comfort the members of Polar Star Dorm when they entered the venue. Don't worry, everyone. The odds are already as high as 99.9%. I guarantee that you will earn blood this time. Tadakoro Megumi, who has always supported Lin Fan to the end, has no confidence this time. She sighed and said, "I just hope that classmate Lin will be successful this time." Fortunately, the price is just a withdrawal from Elite 10. You really can't be so willful next time. Yoshino Yuki on the side was not surprised and smiled. Cut. I bought all the pocket money Lin Fan wins. 95. I believe that Lin Fan will definitely win and point to blood to make money, right? Yoshino Yuki looked at Lin Fan meaningfully and smiled brightly. Lin Fan nodded. Then he looked at Ishiki Satoshi and said with a smile, "Ishiki Senpai bought me and lost to whom? Is it you?" Ishiki Satoshi was stunned. After thinking for a moment, he smiled. "Of course, I definitely hope I can win. Your Tsuki career is still very long. And if you lose this time, you could be considered a good mind, and you must be cautious in your future actions." Lin Fan smiled. "I'm afraid it's going to cost Ishiki Satoshi. Lin Fan will not lose. And 0.0 will pass this halberd, shocking the 4. Inside the venue, still the same venue, still the same host. When Kawashima Rei saw Lin Fan's appearance, she was more excited than the last time. "Oh my god, let me see who this is. I was in this position 3 days ago and presided over an unprecedented halberd eating showdown. I didn't expect that after 3 days, it would be Lin Fan's halberd eating duel. But this time, it's even more outrageous. Lin Fan wants to challenge the entire Totsuki Elite 10 by himself. That is to say, apart from Lin Fan himself, he has to challenge 9 people. 35, of course. If Lin Fan is challenging one of the members and loses, then he will lose the chance to continue the challenge. It's so exciting to think about it. So, next, let's have today's first. That's the 5th seat of Totsuki Elite 10, Sumai Saito. Cute dividing line, Chapter 83 Stunts. Bailuo Snake turns the chain, 7/7 for subscription. In a burst of cheers, the taciturn big man, Saito Sumai, stepped onto the stage. He was tall, with earrings and a scar on the bridge of his nose. He also carried a large knife with him, and habitually leaned it on his shoulder. The uniform jacket is also draped over the shoulders. Anyone who knew him knew that this guy never wore a tie. In the middle of the head, there's also a black hair. At first glance, it looks like a chef who is cooking, but it is quite a ruffian sense of sight. The two sides simply looked at each other. Afterwards, it was still the same old rules. In order to be fair and just, the staff carried a transparent box on the stage. It was filled with folded strips of paper. Draw lots to decide the ingredient theme of this halberd showdown. Kawashima Rei skillfully grabbed a note from the box and opened it. Excitedly facing the camera, he said, "The theme of this halberd showdown has come out. It's seafood." Wow. As we all know, Saito Soki is good at making sushi. So today, will we see him making seafood sushi? 995 saying that. Rei Kawashima brought the microphone to Saito Sumai. I saw that this guy really didn't talk much and didn't speak. Kawashima Rei was a little embarrassed. In order to break the deadlock, Kawashima Rei handed the microphone to Lin Fan again. As we all know, Lin Fan is very good at cooking Chinese dishes. So today, do you want to make a seafood Chinese dish for everyone? Lin Fan thought for a while, then smiled. Yes, 08, as the president of the Chinese Cuisine Club. It is my duty to promote Chinese cuisine, popularize this magical cuisine, and make it popular with the masses. I just took today as an opportunity to promote it. I didn't think it was a halberd meal. After all, there was no pressure. Kawashima Rei was taken aback, while the audience off the field is also boiling. Lin Fan is still so arrogant. It's too early to say this. This is Saito Sumai. Yeah, the brother who bought Aishi Tsukasa and won. I think he lost blood. Lin Fan probably couldn't even beat Saito Sumai. Who said that? Not necessarily, in case he holds on. It's really fun to hear and see. If he can win Saito Sumai, I will teach him to have a daddy. Such a strong opponent. 39, the students were chatting wildly. However, by coincidence, Lin Fan happened to hear it. So, Lin Fan took the microphone and smiled at the audience. That brother just now, I don't know who you are, but I heard that if I win this game, you'll call me dad, right? The person next to him will keep an eye out for me. 99. See you in an hour. While once again, the field boils over. The camera turned to the boy who's speaking wildly. He looked embarrassed. Being forced to do this, when he saw him stand up, he shouted at the stage, "Shout if you shout." 35. As long as you can win, I'll call you dad in front of everyone. Not only that, in the future of Tsuki's career, as long as you don't graduate, as long as you are in school, I will call you dad. Crystal Lin Fan smiled and said, "Okay, everyone will witness for me. It's the first time I meet someone who wants to call me in a hurry. If you don't satisfy him, I'm really sorry to the audience." 35. Wow. Pat, pat, pat. Once again, there was thunderous applause and cheers from the field. The boy sat down awkwardly. After a brief interlude, Kawashima Rei officially announced that the hour-long battle of eating halberds officially began. In a burst of cheers, the two walked to the ingredients area and began to choose ingredients. However, the first thing Lin Fan got was not seafood, but flour. Kawashima Rei, who was standing aside, was stunned. He asked incomprehensibly, "Lin Fan, isn't it seafood dishes?" The most important thing is not to choose seafood. After all, this is the theme, and we must deal with them first. Or rather, do you want to fry or do something else? 39. Lin Fan laughed. You'll find out later. The two sides took the ingredients and returned to the cooking area respectively. Kawashima Rei knows that Saito Samai speaks very little, and it is almost impossible to ask. So I always stood by Lin Fan's side. In this way, the camera on the field is always with Lin Fan. On the big screen, Lin Fan's every move can be seen more clearly. I saw Lin Fan took out the flour and cleaned the entire cooking table. Flour was poured on the table. Then he took out a wooden stick from the kitchen utensils box that he carried with him. It was just an ordinary wooden stick, not the steel stick used by Master Zhijin. It's just for stirring after all. Kawashima Rei was taken aback and asked, "Student Lin, what's the use of taking the stick out? Is it to beat the flour? Is there any special meaning?" 99. Will the flour beaten like this taste better? Lin Fan turned his neck twice, then held a wooden stick in one hand and a bowl of water in the other. Create a pit in the middle of the flour pile. Next, while pouring water into the middle, slowly rotate it clockwise from the inside out. While spinning, he calmly smiled and said, "This is a face kneading, because I'm going to make noodles." 35, Kawashima Rei exclaimed. "Heating noodles?" Everyone doesn't understand. Saito Samai, who was on the side, just glanced up and ignored it. It's just to attract people's attention. Only those with insufficient technology will make up for their own deficiencies in attractive ways. Saito Samai said in a low voice, but it is still amplified by the microphone that collects the sound. The audience agrees with Saito Samai's view. After that, Lin Fan didn't explain much. I saw that he was still inward and outward, slowly rotating clockwise. Slowly, the speed began to speed up, and he said, "Kneading noodles is not as simple as kneading with force." Kawashima Rei listened carefully and nodded. Lin Fan continued, "The rotational motion of the finger, the rotational motion of the arm." Having said that, Lin Fan used skillful Jin, which seemed to rotate easily, while the dough slowly agglomerated from a scattered state. Lin Fan continued, "The nonstop spinning, the spinning motion on the stick. That is to say, the essence of pastry technology is rotation." Everyone present said in unison, "Rotate." I saw that Lin Fan's rotation was getting bigger and bigger, and the speed was getting faster and faster. How much rotation and how deep you can do, can you see the strength of a kneading chef? This scene, everyone was stunned. When everyone has not had time to think about it, suddenly, I only saw Lin Fan muttering, "Bailuo snake, turn chain." Kawashima Rei was shocked. What? What is the Bailuo snake chain? Just listen to the moment her voice fell. The speed of Lin Fan's stick spinning has reached its peak. Boom! Suddenly there was a loud bang. The flour that rotates to the top, because of the speed, is like a big boa constrictor. Get up in no time. A white giant python passed the wooden stick in Lin Fan's hand. Seeing it wrapped around a wooden stick, hovering on the stick, twisting its body, it has been climbing the stick like this. Wow, everyone is stunned. What the hell is this? Flour turned into a white python. My God, is Lin Fan cooking or practicing Qigong? 39. Can cooking become an internal skill? What kind of skill is this? Snake. No, it's a giant python, a white python. It's so scary. Can this thing really be eaten? 35. If it hadn't been witnessed by the people, I would have thought that my eyes were dazzled. It was so scary. 99. Where did Lin Fan learn this trick? Well, I never saw it. It's the first time I saw such a shocking face kneading method. It's so scary. That Buddy's father is a must. For a time, the field was boiling like never before. The boy who was going to call Lin Fan's dad almost dropped his jaw. However, Saito Samai, who was on the side, couldn't calm down after seeing all this. Just in front of him, at a distance of less than 30 meters, this giant python that was as high as 100 meters was just in front of him. Is this cooking or fighting? Saito Samai finally couldn't help but sigh. At this time, Lin Fan didn't take it seriously at all. All this was as he expected. A group of people who only pay attention to the grade of ingredients and only use high-grade ingredients to make up for their cooking skills. How do you know that the dishes made with internal strength are not at the same level as them? In the exclamations of the crowd. With the stick in Lin Fan's hand, the speed slowly slowed down. The white python clinging to the stick slowly slowed down. It seems to understand Lin Fan's commands. I saw it slowly retreated from the top of the stick to the cooking table, lying there quietly as if this never happened. The face-to-face is over. Lin Fan put down the stick, and Kawashima Ray hurriedly strode forward. Cute dividing line chapter 84 Super Fresh Seafood Rice Bowl versus Flamed Seafood Ramen. 1/7 for subscription. Kawashima Ray couldn't wait to get close. I saw a ball of extremely smooth and elastic dough on the cooking table. At this moment, he was lying quietly on the cooking table. I saw Lin Fan patted it lightly with his hand. Pop! The white and smooth dough is as elastic as tender and smooth skin. This made Kawashima Ray couldn't help but want to reach out and touch it. Result: immediately stopped by Lin Fan. Kawashima Ray subconsciously retracted her hand. Off the field, the audience couldn't stop, stood up, leaned forward, and stretched their necks. All this is to be able to see clearly Lin Fan and the dough that came out. In order to ensure the order of personnel in the venue, the cameraman hurried to close up the lens. On the big screen, Lin Fan is finally handling the dough. Incredible. Everyone can't believe it. I still can't believe it. This is actually flour-kneaded dough. By Luo Snake Turns the Chain. This sounds like a very cool and powerful exercise. 35. So, I'm starting to wonder if this guy Lin Fan really knows martial arts. All over the world. Have you ever seen such a chef? I took a picture with my phone just now, so I have to study it after I go back. Let me ask you, how do you study this? You take a wooden stick and then just stir the flour like this, try it out, and others will treat you as a lunatic. But this really happened. Just now, we have all witnessed it with our own eyes. People are really puzzled. Even Nakiri Senzaman on the jury. In this halberd eating world, he was already standing at the top of the food circle, and he was the one with the deepest city. He was shocked by Lin Fan's twist of the white snake just now. Nakiri Senzaman subconsciously asked the two judges on the side, Have you seen such cooking skills? I mean, not in this country. Have you seen it in other countries? Or in China? Nakiri Senzaman. The first thing that comes to mind is Chinese. Even though he was an orphan, the old man wondered if Lin Fan had a master in China who was a master of the world. Otherwise, it would be outrageous for a teenager alone. However, the truth immediately disappointed Nakiri Senzaman. The two judges shook their heads in surprise. Senior, even you have never met. How could we have met? By the way, who is Lin Fan's master? Someone asked him in Xinjiang, but the guy didn't want to answer. He just said he was a master. So, is there really a hidden expert behind the guidance? Two reviewers responded. Nakiri Senzaman shook his head and motioned to continue watching. On the field, what happened next was much smoother. After Lin Fan mixed the dough, it was time for the ramen. The handmade ramen was made on the spot, which made Totsuki Saryo, who was watching from the VIP seat, interested. Saito Samai, who was on the side, was still cooking silently without speaking. The scenery was all occupied by Lin Fan alone. At this point, Lin Fan is more like striking while the iron is hot. Extend the dough in your hands to the sides. The pliable dough is pulled apart in an instant. Off the field, the eyes of the audience followed Lin Fan's face. Buckle. Pulling away. Buckle up. It's just repeating one by one. In Lin Fan's eyes, this is just a relatively simple ramen part of his cooking. But it was touted to a new height by the students off the field. On-site ramen. Lin Fan threw out too many knowledge points today. I'm afraid my brain capacity is not enough. You said an hour. Can he finish it? 25 minutes have passed now. 35. The theme is seafood. It can be seen that Lin Fan is making seafood noodles, but so far he has not touched any ingredients related to the theme. 35. There's still 35 minutes, and I still have the ramen noodles and seafood. Is it too late? Anyway, Lin Fan's ramen has already won when he made the noodles. Looking at Lin Fan's kneading skills, I suddenly thought of Totsuki Saryo, the so-called ramen master. How is he feeling at the moment? If Lin Fan can successfully eat the halberd with him, it will be even more interesting to watch. The students are still talking tirelessly. In about 10 minutes, Lin Fan will pull noodles of normal thickness and set aside for later use. At this time, there is still more than 20 minutes left before the deadline. Saito Sumai seems to have entered the final process. It was only at this moment that Kawashima Rei remembered that on this field, it was a duel between two people. Seeing her, she slowly walked towards Saito Sumai. After looking at it, he smiled and said, "Saito-san, it looks like you're making seafood rice bowls." Sumai Saito. Kawashima Rei's words are like a stone sinking into the ocean. After a while, I only heard Saito Sumai reply a word. Oh, Kawashima Rei was a little embarrassed. It seems that Lin Fan is easier to liven up the atmosphere of the scene than to visit the boring gourd of Saito Sumai. So, I went back to Lin Fan's cooking counter. Time passed by minute. Kawashima Rei was also on the side, constantly reminding the two who had eaten the halberd. There's still 15 minutes left before the end of the game. You two must hurry up. There's still 8 minutes before the end of the game. Lin Fan, do you think you want to make a note? There's still 3 minutes before the end of the game. The two sides entered a white-hot stage. On Saito Sumai's side, he was calm and placed the last seafood on the plate. Lin Fan also fished out the noodles that had been put into the boiling water and placed them on the prepared seafood. Kawashima Rei finally counted down. There is 1 last minute. 59 seconds. 58 seconds. 50 seconds. The audience clenched their toes. Do you want to be so stuck in time? Then, just a few tens of seconds later, the two looked up at the same time, almost in unison. Super fresh seafood ramen finished. Please try it. Red flame seafood rice bowl is complete. Please try it. Kawashima Rei sighed. The audience also sighed. The two came out of the cooking table at the same time, carrying their own dishes, and walked to the judges' table. Put the food away. Lin Fan smiled. Actually, I know that there's a final step in cooking, and it must be done here. Crystal, the 3 judges nodded. Lin Fan took out the spray gun. The audience in the field exclaimed, "I'm going, what is this for?" The spray guns are out. Lin Fan's cooking is really amazing. What are you doing? It's playing Kung Fu cooking. Lin Fan's impression in my heart has completely changed. This guy. Is he too good? Hear what the students have to say. The 3 judges in front of the jury subconsciously leaned back. After Lin Fan adjusted the firepower of the spray gun, he smiled. Don't worry, it will be fine in a moment. 99 booming 1 beep. Lin Fan aimed the nozzle of the spray gun at the seafood on the surface. In an instant, the entire surface burst into flames. Quickly, remove the shell, keep the head of the sweet shrimp, the salmon, the left mouth, and the crab roe were burned with a click sound, accompanied by the unique fresh fragrance. It instantly rushes into the nostrils. Looking at the shrimp head, shrimp meat, etc., slowly turning red, this maddening fragrance seems to be stretching out a soul-sucking hand. She touched the taste buds of the 3 judges. Come here is Saito Sumai's side, on the rice grains that are even and full. Grilled flounder, king crab fillet, and sweet shrimp. They were neatly placed on top of rice and topped with 10% cheese. A reviewer scooped down. The cheese was pulled in an instant, and it exuded a rich, milky aroma and the fresh aroma of seafood. The judge exclaimed, "These 2 seafood dishes are really amazing." 35. Just looking at it like this, it's really hard to tell the difference. With that said, the judges looked at Nakiri Senzaman. The old man nodded. The 3 judges subconsciously picked up the seafood bowl. The reason is that if you don't eat it while it's hot, the cheese in a rice bowl will solidify and reduce the taste. So, start with Nakiri Senzaman. A spoonful of cheese and crab sticks, paired with rice, eat into your mouth. As expected of the great demon king of food, he tastes the food slowly and calmly. Seeing him chewing carefully after swallowing it, he scooped up another spoonful. Eat the grilled flounder in your mouth. Start preparing your review as you taste. Yes, this good Jiao seafood rice bowl is perfect. Wow, approved by the demon king of food. All the students off the field were envious. Nakiri Senzaman continued. The water used for rice washing is mineral water that contains minerals 0.35 after the rice grains are soaked for a short time. The rice has a smooth, glutinous texture after being cooked. Just here, fresh crab sticks, grilled crispy flounder, sweet prawns, garnished with raw eggs. 99. whisk a tender egg, as if these seafood could talk. 39. They seem to be saying, eat them quickly, put them into the stomach, and feel the freshness. The other two judges nodded in succession. As expected of the Demon King of Food, the comment is just right, and he said what we wanted to say. 39. Anyway, this seafood rice bowl by Saito Sumai is perfect. After speaking, the three judges turned their attention to Chi-Yin's seafood ramen. The flames on his face have faded. The crispy seafood looks very appetizing. So, Nakiri Senzaman took the noodle bowl first. A small amount of noodles was sandwiched, and a sweet shrimp was sandwiched by the way. A gulp in your mouth. After the entrance, I saw the old man's face changed greatly. Chapter 85 Kung Fu Cooking Endowed with Internal Skills. 2/7 for subscription. Nakiri Senzaman eats the ramen. Just for a moment, the tip of the tongue just touched the ramen, and it is no exaggeration to say that I was immediately surprised by the deliciousness. Next, Zayman didn't say much. The next realization was to pick up the ramen again and eat it in big mouthfuls. It's like eating xianmai and can't stop at all. This move shocked everyone. You know, this is the most powerful person in the food circle at the moment. In Tsuki, the old man has always been ruthless and silent, and even when he tried cooking, he was very calm. However, the reaction at this time surprised everyone. Is this still the Demon King of Food? How delicious is such an exaggerated expression? I don't know. I'm just surprised, but there are no reviews. Isn't it delicious? It's hard to tell. Nakiri Senpai's castle. We really can't guess. 59 Saito Sumai stood aside, watching indifferently. He just thinks that Lin Fan's bowl of ramen is ordinary, but it's only attractive because of his previous ramen skills. But so what? However, at this time, Nakiri Senzaman suddenly, without any warning, burst open in an instant. The unreachable placket burst. This surprised everyone, including the two judges next to them. I saw that Nakiri Senzaman's mood suddenly became extremely excited. He looked at Lin Fan and said excitedly, "It's so delicious. This bowl of ramen is really delicious." I felt his care in Lin Fan's seafood ramen. Of course, this doesn't mean that Sato's seafood bowls don't have to be taken care of, but that's two different things. Wow. In an instant, the field boiled. All the students turned their attention to the one who bet before. Someone joked, "Hey, classmate, 037, your father is on stage. Why don't you hurry up and meet him?" Ha ha. In an instant, the students burst into laughter. Saito Sumai next to Lin Fan was even more surprised. He never thought he would lose. Nakiri Senzaman not only burst his clothes, but got up in an instant, and his emotions became even more excited. The essence of this bowl of ramen is more than just the wonderful seafood pairing. More importantly, in the ramen itself, 35, I actually ate strength from a bowl of ramen. Similar to just now, Lin Fan is using the baluo snake to turn the chain and make noodles. It feels exactly the same. Each of these noodles seems to be a peerless martial arts master. When I eat the noodles, it seems that this power is transferred to my body. Decades. I've been in the food world for decades. This is the first time that I have gained strength from food. As I get older, my blood is boiling in my body at this time, and my whole body is full of energy. It seems to be back to the hot-blooded boy of 17 or 18. Amazing. This bowl of ramen is amazing. Lin Fan brings food to Lin Fan. 5. This vote. I want to vote for Lin Fan. His seafood ramen has conquered my taste buds. 46-inch Nakiri Senzaman has never been able to control his emotions. Even if the seafood noodles are eaten in an instant, the excitement in the heart still cannot be calmed down for a long time. After sitting down, he kept saying, "It's so delicious. It's so delicious." Unfinished, absolutely unfinished. Can I, AAA, go to Polar Star Dorm to find you when I'm free? Can you cook me such kung fu dishes? After Lin Fan heard this, he nodded silently with a smile. He glanced sideways at Saito Sumai. The guy still had an unbelievable expression on his face, with cold sweat on his forehead. Lin Fan didn't have the patience to listen to what was going on in his mouth. At this time, the other two reviewers, after seeing Nakiri Senzaman eating seafood noodles, he was stunned by his reaction. After the old man slowly recovered, the two discovered that they had not tasted it yet. So, can't wait to pick up the noodle bowl. Take a big bite. Kakaka, a flash of lightning flashed in his mind. The bodies of the two judges froze for a moment. As soon as you enter the ramen, the noodles seem to be transformed into the white giant python just now. Tough and elastic, it erodes the judges' taste buds in the mouth. In just a short moment, the entire taste buds of the two were completely captured. There is no reservation. Suddenly, the judges felt like they had been beaten, instantly slapped the table and rose, and then roared, "Power!" I felt the power that ramen imparted to me, and it not only brought me back to the age of blood, it seems to have turned me into a peerless martial arts master. Senior Nakiri is right. This bowl of seafood ramen by Lin Fan is empowered. Another judge was also excited. It's not just about power. In terms of taste, the ramen noodles are very chewy and chewy. This is the same as before, using the skill of rotation. That's how the dough can be kneaded at 366 degrees without any dead ends in the best state. This taste paired with fresh seafood. This is fire cooking. A raging flame instantly ignited in my body. However, at this time, the two reviewers reflected. Nakiri Senzaman has experienced it just now. So, the old man said calmly, "I'm right. This dish has soul." 35. I am repeatedly attached to the god of ramen, and after eating it, I am afraid that only those who taste it can understand it. 55. And the audience off the field naturally can't taste it in person. So they can't feel the old man's words. They just feel. Lin Fan is so strong. This flaming seafood noodle is so powerful. There is no doubt that the two judges voted for Lin Fan respectively. Wow. Pat, pat, pat. There were bursts of cheers from the field. The elite 10 members in the VIP seats looked surprised. Xiaolin Rintan shook his head and said, "What else can I say? Lin Fan is indeed an opponent not to be underestimated. However, with so many lessons learned, why is Saito so complacent? Just say it deserves it." Akakubo Tao smiled and said, "Ah, the big man lost, so can you replace me?" At this time, Nakiri Arena stood up. Seeing her calmly said, "I'll come." From the day the transfer student was assessed, I knew that this guy's cooking skills are very good. However, everyone just thinks that this guy is just a little bit talented and no one cares. However, it is this kind of transition that makes the opponent relax, which will cause the seniors in front to be pale under Lin Fan again and again. 99. Actually, I've always been curious if I were to compete with him alone. What will be the result? Saying that, Nakiri Arena of Sundara did not wait for the others to agree. Go straight to the stage. What Akakubo Tao wanted to stop was stopped by Kobayashi Rintan. "Okay, let her go," Akakubo Tao said reluctantly. She's gone. What else is there to do with me?" 35. Anyway, she's the tongue of God. Irina, who can taste the perfect food. 35. Using her perfect sense of taste to directly restrain Lin Fan's words is not difficult. This way, I have no chance. Akakubo Momo said angrily. Xiaolin Rintan smiled and said, "There will be time in the future." However, when Nakiri Arena was halfway gone, Saito Sumai suddenly said, "I don't believe it. My seafood rice bowl is already perfect, and if my rice bowl loses out on flavor handling, I'm convinced." 99 because of the noodles. Ramen skills. I'm not convinced. What ramen is empowered in a good ramen? It's just an ingredient, and it must be perfectly matched in order to play its benefits. Otherwise, why are there high-end and low-end ingredients in this world? Even if the ingredients are good, they are still garbage if they are not handled properly. Saito Sumai has always felt that his seafood ramen has been brought to the extreme. The judges have always praised the ramen itself, not the taste at all. He has to verify it himself to convince himself. The three judges shook their heads helplessly. This was also expected by Lin Fan. After all, Elite 10 still has its own proud points. Lin Fan brought out a prepared ramen and said, "This is for you." 99 Saito Sumai was dubious and took the ramen. "I didn't say anything, I just tried a moment." The noodles after the entrance seemed to be endowed with great power. The slight spiciness is instantly magnified infinitely in the mouth, forming a powerful force with the noodles. Let Saito Sumai feel full of power in an instant. This is Kung Fu cuisine? Saito Sumai muttered. No ups and downs, no exaggerated comments and emotions. Just after tasting it at the entrance, Saito Sumai instantly understood. Saito Sumai was convinced and said, "I'm sorry, I lost my way. I admit I lost." Nakiri Irina, who had already walked off the stage, was stunned. I thought a miracle would happen, but it didn't. So, calmly went to the stage. This chapter contains pictures. Click the illustration button in the lower right corner of the screen to view the pictures. Chapter 86 Surprise. Someone knelt down and called me dad. 3 of 7 for subscription. Nakiri Irina silently walked to the stage. From the beginning to the end, Saito Sumai couldn't believe that he lost like this. And he still lost to the transfer student who he had always looked down on. At this time, Saito Sumai meets Nakiri Irina. Without any expression, when rubbing shoulders with her, he said, "This Lin Fan's strength is really strong. Maybe he can even compete with professional chefs. So be careful." Nakiri Irina calmly replied, "Don't worry, I know this better than you." Saito Sumai didn't look back and walked away. At this time, Kawashima Rei on the stage was still emotional. After watching Irina take the stage, she said with surprise, "It seems that this match against Lin Fan is Nakiri, who has the title of God's tongue, but..." Speaking of which, Kawashima Rei thought about it and said, "Before that, I have to announce one thing. 35, a very important thing, because Lin Fan won the halberd match against Elite 10 5th seat, Saito Sumai. 95. Then, at this moment, let us use the warmest applause to congratulate you on successfully taking over the 5th seat. Then, Saito Sumai will also become the 9th seat." Pat, 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 the audience cheered. Kawashima Rei smiled and said, "Then I will announce the next duel." Speaking of which, Lin Fan suddenly interrupted Rei Kawashima. Let me interrupt you, because I have something to say too." Kawashima Lee was stunned and smiled. "Then you say it," Lin Fan calmly said. "Just before the last halberd started, I clearly remember that a certain classmate said, 'If Saito Sumai loses, he will kneel down and call me dad.'" 39. While there was an uproar off the field, Kawashima Rei was taken aback and said very embarrassedly, "This." Nakiri Irina on the side was even more stunned. "Lin Fan, what the hell are you doing? Don't you want to eat halberds? What kind of occasion is this? You are joking." 35 Lin Fan said indifferently, "I'm not joking. If you say it, you must do it. This is my rule of thumb." 5. "Student, please?" The voice fell. There was no need for Lin Fan to go to him deliberately. The students off the field immediately caught the boy out. "Woo! This guy is here. Still want to run away? Don't run." 35. "What are you running? Who swore to say it before? Since you dare to say it, naturally you have to do what you say." Marui Zenji stood in the audience, chanting. Because of this sentence, the field boiled again. The students started booing. The boy's face was pale, his body was stiff with fear, and he didn't dare to move. On the jury table, one of the judges was surprised. "This Lin Fan, is it too messy? What kind of occasion is this? How can it be like this?" But after speaking, I saw that Nakiri Senzaman did not make a statement. With a scheming look, he sat there watching silently. The two judges looked at each other, then remained silent. Under the stage, I don't know who it is, like a god making up for a knife, handed a microphone to the boy. Then a group of students started booing. "Call him Dad, and Lin Fan Dad." Nakiri Irina stood in the middle of the stage with a very embarrassed expression. It was the first time in my life to experience such a scene. I didn't even dare to dream that it would happen to her. Under the booing of a group of people, the boy took the microphone and said helplessly, "Lin Fan, I know it's me who is wrong. I'm sorry to tell you here. You have a lot of adults don't care about me. Here, I solemnly apologize to you." 99 saying that, the boy bowed deeply. However, at this time, Yoshino Yuki of the other half came out and pointed at him and said, "Hey, classmate, can you afford to lose? Isn't it willing to admit defeat? This bet was not made by you." Who said that if Lin Fan wins, as long as he is at school, He will call him Dad once he sees him. We didn't force you to say this, did we? Speaking of which, if the roles were switched and the loser was Lin Fan, would you easily bypass it with a single sentence? A student on the side suddenly responded, "Of course not. If he defaults on his debt this time, who would dare to compete with him in the future? Suki's career is over." This is a bit scary to say, being ostracized by the students in the school. It would have been turned around without the strength of Lin Fan. That is really the end. In the end, the boy had no choice but to grit his teeth and spit out 2 words for a long time. Dad Nakiri Arena was stunned. Lin Fan laughed. "Remember to call me when you see me in school in the future." Wow, ha, ha, ha. A bunch of students laughed sarcastically. The boy threw the microphone and rushed out of the stadium. Seeing this, Rei Kawashima smiled awkwardly. What a wonderful episode. Then next, Lin Fan. There's nothing else to do, right? The halberd with Nakiri Arena. It's time to start. Lin Fan laughed. "I have one more thing." Everyone gasped. I'm afraid that Lin Fan's words are astonishing. Lin Fan calmly said, "Don't worry. This time it's about Shurji. Since it's eating halberds and eating halberds openly, no matter what kind of friendship I have with Nakiri classmates, what kind of friendship is, things within the rules, both parties must pay a price. Since I've won the 5th seat and won her, there is naturally no reasonable price. So, now, let's talk about the price after eating the halberd. 55. If Nakiri Arena lost, then Lin Fan thought for a while, then continued. Didn't I have a Black Kirin Chinese Cuisine Research Institute? 39. That place, I thought it was too small at first, so, Didn't Nakiri take up the building of the Sumo Hot Pot Club through Shurji before? I've got my eye on the land over there. Nakiri Arena was surprised. You guy, I just grabbed that piece of land. It's just under construction. You choose a new one. Lin Fan smiled and shook his head. I like that piece of land. No pressure to eat halberd. Meaningless. 99. Nakiri Arena thought for a while, then calmly replied, "Okay, I promise you. 35-0. Ask for flower 00, but only if you can beat me." Later, Nakiri Arena added, "Since your conditions have been given, then I'll say mine too. The piece of land in your club was originally my favorite, if you hadn't interfered with it before. So, if you lose to me in this one, then there is no need for your club to exist. That position is still mine." Lin Fan nodded, indicating that there was no problem. The two hit it off and reached an agreement. Then, according to the old rules, Rei Kawashima drew the theme of the halberd-eating showdown in this field. After a while, I saw her take out a note from the glass box. After opening it, he looked at the camera in surprise and said, "The theme of this scene is fish. 35 then. It's still an hour. Please get ready to start." After speaking, Kawashima Rei retreated to a corner. Nakiri Arena looked back at Senzaman, who was sitting on the jury. Since her grandfather is here to watch, she has to win even more Lin Fan. This is the best moment to prove your strength. Afterwards, Nakiri Arena and Lin Fan walked to the ingredients area at the same time. In the aquatic area, there were fresh fish. Arena quickly picked up one and turned away. Lin Fan thought silently and looked at a snapper in front of him. At this moment, he had another very good idea. Fished out a sea bream and returned to the cooking table. Then, still in a familiar motion, he turned around and walked to the kitchen utensils box he brought. Leaning down, there is a set of 7-star knives inside. This was exchanged by Lin Fan from the system store in advance. Then, once again, picked 2 out. Seeing this, Rei Kawashima was pleasantly surprised. Oh, that kitchen utensil box of Lin Fan really has everything. 39. I just made a visual observation that there are many large and small kitchen knives in it. These 2 kitchen knives also look very delicate. Exactly, it looks like 2 small daggers. Is Lin Fan using these 2 knives to handle snapper? Can I take a moment of your time? What are the names of these 2 knives? Lin Fan returned to the cooking table and looked at the sea bream in the utensil in front of him. Then calmly said, "These 2 knives are also of the 7-star knife series. As I said before, there is a whole set of 7-star knives, and these 2 are really suitable for making this snapper." After finishing speaking, I saw that Lin Fan was still doing that familiar movement. Before using the knife, The 7-star knife quickly rotated a few times in his hand. Then, from the vessel, the snapper was quickly fished out of the vessel. The method is still sophisticated and skilled. I saw the corner of his mouth muttering, 7 stars. Cute dividing line chapter 87. The sword is not old. Breaking the army and cutting it quickly. 4 of 7 for subscription. Lin Fan's expression was serious, and he was holding a knife, which made everyone so nervous that they couldn't breathe. It's like they're playing in person. Even Kawashima Rei, who was on the side, swallowed subconsciously, because they know that as long as Lin Fan makes this move, the next second will be shocking. Really? Once again, he muttered, 7 stars, Pajun Sun cut. Only this time, the crowd could not open their mouths in surprise. Lin Fan's action has started. Hand speed is so fast that you can only see ghost images. The fish on the cutting board fluttered unharmed. It was a blink of an eye, seeing that Lin Fan had already taken out the fish roe. Wow! After this set of actions was completed, the surprise sound of everyone came out. See how fast it goes. See bream roe. What happened just now? I didn't see anything clearly, but I took out the roe. This is a bit mystical. I can still understand the previous Bailuo snake-turning chain. How to explain this? 995. I can't see anything clearly. Is it magic? Strongly request the director to replay it. Is Lin Fan preparing Zero Sankey in advance to create an effect? 95. There was a lot of discussion. However, all this did not affect Lin Fan's actions at all. Next, in the boiling sound. The snapper on Lin Fan's cutting board was not cleaned directly. What is puzzling is that he actually threw the snapper back into the vessel. Kawashima Rei asked in confusion, why is this? Shouldn't the snapper that has been broken belly be refrigerated in ice cubes to keep it fresh? Put in water. I don't understand this step very well. 99. Kawashima Rei just put the words down when suddenly the students in the audience screamed. The snapper in the utensil, is still alive? Still swimming in the water? What's the situation? Logically speaking, if the fish that has been cut open and the roe taken out is put back into the water will become cloudy. 5. This is magic? Surprised and screamed. Rei Kawashima just looked back. Shock. The glassware that holds the fish is more than 2 meters away. Did sea snapper swimming in the water? Kawashima, Rei trotted over. The sea bream in the glass vessel was as if nothing had happened. The fish was intact and swam in the water as if nothing had happened. When Rei Kawashima reached out to touch it, the sea bream sensed danger. An agile reflection, fast swimming. Kawashima Rei was surprised. This is magic? After saying that, he looked at Lin Fan and said, Student Lin, when did you get 2 snappers? It's really fast. I'm still beside you. I didn't notice it. Lin Fan calmly smiled and said, it's that one fish from the beginning to the end. Where are the 2 from? I'm a chef, a cook who cooks, and I'm not a magician. How can I do magic? As soon as these words came out, the audience reached the highest heat of the night. Nakiri Irina couldn't hold back any longer and strode over. Take a closer look. Sure enough, the snapper in the glassware had no wounds at all. Then she saw her in disbelief. Are you sure that snapper roe was taken from this fish? Lin Fan nodded. Afterwards, Nakiri Irina subconsciously looked back at the judge's seat. Nakiri Senzaman, who was originally calm, stood up instantly. He also took 3 or 2 big steps, walked to Lin Fan's cooking table, and looked at it carefully. It's unbelievable and completely beyond people's perception. Where is this cooking? This obviously has a very strong internal martial arts behind it. Nakiri Senzaman said calmly. The old man seemed to see the point. At this time, due to the doubts of the audience, the director also played back what he just said. After slowing down, put it on the big screen. Everyone stared at the screen intently. Slow down 5 times. No, it's still too fast. Slow down 10 times. It feels faster than normal speed. The director was so shocked that his jaw dropped. In the end, slowed down the speed 50 times. This is good. You can see clearly. The big screen on the field was really real. Every frame, Lin Fan cut open the belly of the snapper and then took out the roe and recorded the picture. Everyone felt chills down their spines. A teenage, hot-blooded boy can actually possess such a sincere swordsmanship. If it weren't for some martial arts, how could a normal person do it? Everyone was no longer calm and began to discuss. However, Nikiri Senzaman fished out the snapper in a handful. After careful inspection, the only thing that can prove is that this sea bream was cut open on the top of the fish's belly. After a closer look, there are small scratches like hair, and, moreover, seems to be slowly healing. It is like the process of human skin being gently scratched from redness to disappearance. Nikiri Senzaman took a deep breath, looked at Lin Fan, and then at his granddaughter. It can only be said that his little granddaughter is not Lin Fan's opponent at all. In other words, those Elite Tens are not Lin Fan's opponents. However, the old man did not intend to speak out about this matter and end the halberd eating like giving away the head. He has his own plans. Nikiri Senzaman calmed down and said, "When I was very young, I have heard from my ancestors that at a certain time in Zhijin, a group of very powerful chefs appeared in the cooking world. All of them have unique skills, and they are quite good at cooking. But it's just a legend, and no one can prove it." 35. I vaguely remember that when I was a child, I heard from my grandfathers that there was such a chef. He makes a good knife. Being able to cut through all the fresh ingredients quickly is amazing. Could it be that? Lin Fan was surprised when he heard it. The legend that the old man said was somewhat familiar. So he smiled and said, "I don't know which legend the senior said was." 39. My broken army is cut quickly. The core is if in an instant, a quick knife cuts through the creature. The incision heals itself before the cells of the wound notice it. Because of this, with the sharpness of the 7-star knife, you can take out the roe from the belly of the sea bream in the blink of an eye. In this way, its wounds will also be fully healed. 66-inch. Wow, this explanation is really shocking. Even Nikiri Irina, who was standing beside her, instantly felt the gap between her and Lin Fan. No matter from any point of view, no matter what cooking Lin Fan will do next, the dishes he made were already at their peak. In this world, is there any fresher method than using Pejunsun to cut and take out the fish roe? The answer is no. So, what does Nikiri Irina compare to Lin Fan? Obviously, the gap is just so widened. However, she was looking at Nikiri Senzaman. The old man held his hands, took a deep breath, turned around calmly, and returned to the jury seat. Even what she knew, as the grandfather of the great demon king of food, it was impossible not to know. So, whether it was Irina's own pride or Senzaman's concerns. In short, the current situation does not allow Irina to give up. Her proud self-esteem did not allow her to be discouraged. No matter what the solution is, she has to bite the bullet and finish the cooking. Then, Nikiri Irina pretended to be calm and expressionless. As if none of this had happened, he turned around and returned to his cooking table. Still take the food seriously. This kind of reaction made the audience gossip even more. As expected of Miss Irina, who has the tongue of God, she can do such a state of calmness. Yeah, if it were me, my mentality might have collapsed long ago. Yes, no matter what, it's definitely going to be affected. But Nikiri Irina, you look at the way she handles cooking, it's like nothing. It's really amazing. So 0.0 sets, a clear winner. Needless to say, the theme is fish. However, the deliciousness of Lin Fan's knife work should be surpassed by no one. The students were chatting wildly. All this, Nikiri Irina stopped in his ears word for word. Even though the expression on his face was calm, his heart had already turned upside down. If she was not in this position today, and if she were Alice, she might have rushed up and asked why. However, Nikiri Irina is still doing it in obscurity. After half an hour, Lin Fan and Nikiri Irina finished cooking almost at the same time. Fresh fish roe bibimbap, please try it. 35. It's really okay to escape from paradise fish. Please taste it. The two spoke calmly. Cute dividing line, chapter 88, sending ahead. Then you have to wait in line. 1/9 for subscription. Lin Fan and Nikiri Irina prepare the dishes at the same time. At the moment of serving the judges, Nikiri Irina subconsciously peeked at Lin Fan's cooking. Just peeking. She didn't want to be thought that, as the tongue of God. She would also worry about losing to Lin Fan. Just now, Lin Fan made an unexpected move, breaking the army quickly. The three judges on the judging table, when the food was served, treated them equally and watched the bibimbap with fish roe. It's a seemingly simple dish. On top of the crystal clear, plump rice, freshly marinated fish roe is scattered. Take a look at Nakiri Irina's. It seems to be very tacit, and all they do is bibimbap. Nakiri Irina saw her grandfather watching the cooking. So, he quickly explained, although this bibimbap looks ordinary, it must be eaten before you can taste it. 35 Nakiri Senzaman seemed interested after listening. So, without further ado, I picked up this dish made by my granddaughter. Just a very ordinary raw egg bibimbap. Nakiri Senzaman doesn't care about the granddaughter's face at all. Very nasty at the start. However, Nakiri Irina was very calm and said, "Wait a minute, I'll take out the core of this bibimbap right away." Saying that, Nakiri Irina opened the gaiwan on the side. A burst of mist, sandwiched with a strong meat fragrance, hit the nostrils. Then, Nakiri Irina neatly flipped the bowl upside down on the bibimbap. The crystal clear squares were scattered on the rice 08. It looks like a kind of jelly. These little cubes are very springy and bounce on top of the rice. Everyone's eyes widened, wanting to see what would happen next. Suddenly, the small cubes, after meeting the steaming rice, began to melt slowly. Kawashima Ray on the side was shocked. What is this jelly-like thing made of? But what is certain now is it related to the release of Dingjili powder? It will melt slowly after preheating. Nakiri Irina shook her head and said calmly, "No, it's fish jelly. In a short period of time, the fish is completely boiled and melted with high fire, and it will solidify after being refrigerated." 99 Kawashima Ray suddenly realized, "Oh, so that's how it is?" Afterwards, the two judges around Nakiri Senzaman couldn't help but sigh. As expected of the granddaughter of the great demon king, the cooking is very thoughtful, but I still have to wait until I taste it before I know if this dish is as amazing as it looks. Yes, then I'll try Nakiri-san's first too. 99 with that said, the two judges picked up their bowls and scooped a spoonful of the mixed rice. Raw eggs served with steaming rice, and then topped with melted fish gravy. Smells amazing. After speaking, take a bite into your mouth and chew it carefully. Suddenly, the two judges were amazed. One reviewer was amazed. Yummy. The rice was cooked just right. 35 when it came out of the pot. The hot rice was covered with refrigerated fish jelly and the melted soup, which ingeniously cooled the rice. Eggs tossed on top. The rice has evenly absorbed the egg and fish gravy. So this is an invisible fish rice bowl, right? The essence is in the fish jelly and absorbed by the rice. It's delicious. It tastes amazing. The judges sighed and took a big mouthful. Another judge also shook his head and said, "UBD said everything I wanted to say. The only thing left at the moment is to taste it. Good to eat. Because of the tongue of God, the natural taste is different from ordinary people. The seasoning of this fish jelly, as well as the proportion of eggs, are very perfect. The combination of the three is a very good experience." Nakiri Irina looked confident and looked at Nakiri Senzaman again. The old man was the first to take it up for evaluation, but he was the last to taste it. I saw that after he took a bite into his mouth. Nakiri Irina looked expectantly, staring straight at her grandpa. But the expression should always pretend to be calm, pretending not to care at all. Until Nakiri Senzaman, after eating half the bowl of bibimbap, there was not much emotional ups and downs. Senzaman just said, "Not bad, a very novel combination." 99. As for your cooking skills, Irina, I don't question your cooking skills at all. It's just delicious, more delicious things. 5. But this fish bibimbap is really good and delicious. After Nakiri Senzaman finished speaking, he put the bowl down. That's it. Nakiri Irina was a little surprised. Until the last moment, she did not wait for Senzaman's excited state. No matter how praised it is, there is no special state. Nakiri Irina always feels imperfect. With a disappointed mood, I was looking at Lin Fan's bibimbap. Nakiri Irina seemed to feel a lot better. When it comes to creativity, Lin Fan is even more ordinary. Apart from the cool knife work, the rest is nothing more than that. Irina was worried and curious about the taste of snapper roe. After all, such a great swordsman. Nakiri Senzaman was the first to pick up the bibimbap and ate it with a spoonful of skill. Kakaka as soon as he entered. Nakiri Senzaman's eyes became very surprised, as if an arc flashed in his mind. When Nakiri Irina saw her grandfather in this state, she immediately felt that something was wrong. And the students below are even more nervous than Irina. They all want to know if Lin Fan has any more surprising dishes. And seeing Nakiri Senzaman's reaction, it's inseparable. Boom. Suddenly, Nakiri Senzaman, once again, burst without warning. Wow, this surprised everyone present. What's the situation? I was shocked as soon as I ate it. What kind of fairy dish is this? Isn't it sea bream bibimbap? Is there anything special? I haven't seen anything special. I didn't even analyze it, and I was immediately shocked by the cooking. This is the first time I've seen it. This is my first time seeing Nakiri Senpai like this. Nakiri Irina couldn't believe it. This is just the entrance, and the front of the clothes bursts immediately. What kind of amazing dish is it? I saw Irina also picked up another portion, scooped a spoon, and ate it. Kakaka, another arc flashed in his head. And the eldest lady who is good at imagining and visualizing food in her mind suddenly fantasized about entering a state of bursting clothes. The snapper roe burst open after the entrance. The sauce of the fish roe instantly merges with the rice. And this fish roe, before I eat it, has already painted countless pictures in my mind. Under such knife work, it must be extremely fresh. But the freshness of the fish roe is beyond my imagination. As if the roe were immediately brought to life, they surrounded me. Nakiri Irina's face is intoxicated, and she bursts into clothes in her self-consciousness. It seems that I have eaten Xianmai, and I can't stop at all. However, the two judges on the side still maintained a little bit of rationality. I saw one judge exclaimed, "This is no ordinary fish roe." Saying that, he motioned for the cameraman to zoom in and close up the camera. Under the macro, a grain of fish roe is magnified countless times. Then, a miracle happened. Inside the plump fish roe, there is still something hidden. Is it because of the addition of this fish roe that the taste of the fish roe is more delicious? 037. However, how did Lin Fan manage to stuff all these seasonings into the fish roe, which is so laborious to the naked eye? The two judges were surprised. At this time, Lin Fan smiled calmly. This is not a condiment. It's snapper meat. The audience exclaimed, "Snapper meat? Snapper meat." In the entire venue, only Lin Fan looked calm. Seeing him calmly said, "Yes, it's snapper meat." After I chopped the sea bream meat, I poured it into the sea bream roe using a special technique. So this is the soul and essence of this dish. Otherwise, you think it's enough to just rely on such a simple bream roe. No, since I want to do it, I must do it to the extreme. To the extreme. Nakiri Irina muttered in her mouth. At this time, Lin Fan, in her eyes, was shining like gold, and it was very dazzling. This competition, in Nakiri Irina's heart, has already been conceded. Finally, this is her first time bowing her head, but she won't show it, let alone say it. Nakiri Senzaman said solemnly, "I vote for Lin Fan in this game of eating halberd." 35 immediately afterwards, the two reviewers Lin Fan voted for Lin Fan without hesitation. However, the audience no longer questioned, surprised. Having witnessed Lin Fan's shocking halberd eating with their own eyes, they have long since acquiesced. Therefore, for such voting results, I feel that it is reasonable. Nakiri Irina didn't speak, just turned around and walked off the stage silently. At this time, Kawashima Rei said, "In this game, Lin Fan wins again. It's been 2 consecutive victories." Next, what else? Kawashima Rei even questioned unconsciously. Chapter 89, Spice Inequality. You can only understand. 2/9 for subscription. Kawashima Rei thought for a while, but still said, "Next, what's the comparison?" Although she knew very well that when she said these words, she would offend people. From the current 2 games, Lin Fan's strength is amazing. At this time, the field was also boiling. Why not? Lin Fan is very good. That's why we came to see him and his good cooking skills. It's not like that. You say, where do you put the chief? If you want to be great, Eishi Tsukasa claims to be able to talk to the ingredients. Yes, that's why I said at the beginning, the senior buys the division to win. It must be right. I didn't see it before. Lin Fan is so amazing. Yeah, I originally thought that he was just more prominent in his new life, but I didn't expect to be able to come so much. It's also a miracle in the history of Tsuki. Keep reading. I hope he surprises us. The students have everything to say. Kawashima Rei reacted on the spot, and the words just now were a bit abrupt. Later, in order to avoid embarrassment at the scene, Kawashima Rei began to round up the scene. Lin Fan's knife skills are amazing, even Nakiri-senpai. Maybe it's because everyone is tired. After hearing this, Lin Fan said displeasedly, "Tired? According to what you mean, they're still working hard?" Kawashima Rei hurriedly waved her hands. Lin Fan continued, "I played against them all by myself. I didn't feel tired." Are they tired? As a chef, I don't have the ability to withstand pressure at all. How can I be a chef? If you're in a hurry, it's better to let the rest of them go. Everyone was shocked again. Only Lin Fan dared to say this, and Tsuki was the only one. Then, after a long time, I suddenly got up and walked to the front of the stage. That's just her idea. We didn't say it. The duel between the two of us does not require a lottery, and there will be another Chinese cuisine. Lin Fan looked at me for a long time and walked to the stage with a confident look. It seems that it is the performance of not being beaten to autism. Nakiri Senzaman was silent. Even if he had a hunch, Elite 10 might not be Lin Fan's match. But this time, you can't call the stop. No matter what the final outcome is, you can restrain the other side. Either way, it's a good thing. Lin Fan looked at Taruki's disdainful look for a long time. Why didn't I want to say it first? I suddenly got angry. Is it because I didn't call you autistic last time? That's why you still have misunderstandings about your abilities? When I heard it for a long time, my face changed greatly, and I said angrily, "Lin Fan, how come you can't listen to a word as long as it comes out of your mouth? Last time, I admit, I underestimated you. Even during the club activities, I didn't take you seriously. I have deeply reflected on this matter, so I am standing here today. I will use all my strength to prove that Chinese cuisine only needs to be spicy. Do you dare to accept the challenge of this theme?" Lin Fan nodded after listening. This guy is really dying. Then there is no need to draw lots to decide the theme. Since you are so obsessed with spicy, then I will use your best cooking technique to beat you to the point of being convinced. 35. By the way, there is also the price of eating halberds. 35. If you lose, your Chinese cuisine club really has no meaning to exist. It just so happens that my club is going to expand, and I also like the piece of land in your club. If you lose, just give up the place. 35. But don't worry. If the old members of your club Xingjin want to rely on me, I will treat them well. For a long time, I took care of Ji's short body, trembling with anger. If you lose, the land you took from Nakiri is mine. Lin Fan nodded and smiled. Okay, no problem. Just such a happy decision. The two directly ignored the host and the feelings of the audience. In this way, the theme of halberd has been finalized. At this moment, Kawashima Rei silently walked between the two of them and said embarrassedly, 35. Next, it's still an hour before the duel begins. Lin Fan and Gio, I followed the rules and nodded at the same time. The two turned around again at the same time and walked towards the food area. When Lin Fan was taking the dishes, Juga Taruki, who was next to him, thought for a while and turned around. Hey, I heard before that you have a formula for making seasonings? 35 Lin Fan was stunned and replied, "You're talking about the spice inequality?" After a long time, Zhaoji suddenly realized, yes, this is it. It is said that it is very powerful. As long as it is matched according to this ratio, any ingredients can be perfect. If that's the case, I'm very curious. If it's so powerful, why don't you use it when you use 2 halberds? It stands to reason that there is such a formula, That is, there is no solution. For a long time, I was pretending to be joking. Should be nothing. However, Lin Fan was serious. Turning around, looking at Zhu Zhaoji, he said seriously, I know too many cooking skills. Why didn't I use them a few times before? It all depends on my mood. I'll use whatever I want. For the sake of your interest in spice inequalities, though, then I'll use it to beat you. Hope you don't regret it. 35. For a long time, I was suddenly stunned. Lin Fan said these words calmly, but no matter how it sounded, it made him feel a chill down his spine. For a while, I didn't think much about it for a long time and replied, I'm really looking forward to it. Lin Fan nodded and stood aside. Watching him take the dishes, this made me a little uncomfortable for a long time. Finally, seeing him, he couldn't help but say, Why are you always staring at my ingredients? After Lin Fan heard this, he was silent for a moment, then smiled. Because of the spice inequality. Okay, I basically know what you're going to cook. I was taken aback for a long time. Lin Fan took a portion of the ingredients according to the ingredients that I got according to the rules for a long time. This is incomprehensible to everyone. Kawashima Ray finally couldn't help but ask, Student Lin, are you going to imitate me for a long time? Lin Fan took the ingredients to the cooking area and started to process them. It's not imitation, it's based on the ingredients he takes and then judges in advance what he's going to cook. Most importantly, I will improve his recipes with haojiao. With the spice inequality, the most perfect spice formula can be matched with the dishes he has completed or through the judgment of my five senses. I will let him know thoroughly that the dishes he cooked before were just playing house. 35 Rei Kawashima took a deep breath, and Lin Fan began to speak up again. So I couldn't help but ask, the spice inequality? So, can you tell us what kind of existence it is? Lin Fan shook his head and said, It can only be understood. Even if it is rumored, it may not be understood. However, after I have defeated my opponent, you will naturally know what this is. 5. It won't take too long. Just a little patience. Give me half an hour is enough. Cute dividing line. Chapter 90 Supervision of the Super 5 Senses. 3/9 for subscription. After a long time, Totsuki didn't listen to Lin Fan's words and turned around and started cooking by herself. After all, I have always been obsessed with my cognition of Chinese cuisine. He always believed that others lost to Lin Fan because they didn't know enough about Chinese cuisine. However, this time, he will not lose. Swish for a long time. I carefully cleaned the ingredients. It was the ribs. Long before him, Lin Fan prepared the excellent spare ribs and prepared them for use. Kawashima Ray may have known Lin Fan for the past 2 days. As soon as he saw Lin Fan cooking, he walked over unconsciously. Lin Fan looked up at her and asked, Why are you always on my side? It's not over there. Can't you take care of the classmates over there? 39. Although he has nothing to share with you. Kawashima Ray was stunned, and then smiled. Hee, isn't this because Lin Fan is easy to talk? Being able to cook while cooking, but also to talk to me. So far, Lin is the first one I've seen. Kawashima Ray's words were very pleasing to the ears. Therefore, Lin Fan was happy, continued to process the ingredients, and said, Since this is the case, then you can ask. Want to know what? 037 Kawashima Ray was surprised and asked, What I want to know is the spice inequality you just mentioned. What kind of state should it be presented in? Lin Fan blanched the spare ribs in his hands and thought about it. How can I say it? I'm actually using it now. Didn't you just say that the super 5 senses come from sight, hearing, taste, touch, smell? The spice inequality uses one of the 5 senses, supervision. With keen insight, observe the other party in advance, and then quickly research a set of countermeasures. However, as I said before, I don't really want to use it, but because of my classmates' obsession with Chinese cuisine for a long time. As a native of China, it is natural for him to understand what is called real Chinese cuisine. 95. After Kawashima Ray heard this, she kept nodding her head. She felt that Lin Fan's words were very eloquent, and the audience off the field even more applauded one after another, questioning something no longer exists. Actually, after looking at it all the way, every word Lin Fan said did not lie. He did everything. 35. Because I have been defeated by Lin Fan twice in a long time, Is this the third time? I am not optimistic about him in this game. 35. It's okay if I didn't buy him to win. Everyone understands. I have to say, this guy is really persistent. I have seen members of his club study cooking, and that scene, I can't compliment it. However, he probably hates Lin Fan, right? I've been following the rules for a long time, and I've always wanted to eat halberds with Eishi Tsukasa, but I couldn't get a chance. However, this time, Lin Fan can easily let the chief officer get out. And then again, according to Lin Fan's super five senses, if it's true, that is to say, one can talk to the ingredients, and the other has super perceptual abilities that are different from ordinary people. Who is more powerful? The students off the field began to discuss. But the point of discussion is not to follow the rules for a long time, but the battle between Lin Fan and other Elite 10. This embarrassed me for a long time. What is beyond the five senses is not beyond the five senses, and the words are getting more and more ridiculous. For a long time, I muttered in a low voice. Lin Fan on the other side, after a brief chat with Rei Kawashima, started to get serious, with fire, hot oil. Boom, boom, the sound of the hood spinning frantically. Bowl, another crisp sound. The ribs are instantly put into the pot, and the aroma is instantly tangy. However, at this time, Totsuki also put the ribs into the pot. The cooking methods of the two are extremely similar, which makes people curious. Perhaps the supervision of the super five senses mentioned by Lin Fan is really the case. The ingredients to be cooked by the other party are predicted in advance, and then the upgrade is based on the original. As time passed by every second, Lin Fan's movements are also getting faster and faster. Intriguingly, Totsuki seems to be following in Lin Fan's footsteps. Every time, after Lin Fan finishes the last cooking step, it will be repeated on the Totsuki AAA side. At first, it was fine for 1 or 2 times, but the more I went on, the more I felt that something was wrong. He seemed to think that Lin Fan really seemed to see through his mind, and he prepared the dishes he was going to make in advance and made them one step at a time. Thinking of this for a long time, my heart grows more and more hairy. Thinking about the few people who lost to Lin Fan before him, and then thinking about the bet he made with him. If this won, don't dare to think about it. For a long time, Totsuki also finds it ridiculous that she thinks like this. How could his recipe go wrong? So, I took a deep breath and continued to cook, ignoring the discussions of the other students. 10 minutes later, Lin Fan's cooking is almost ready. Looking at Aizan next to him, he smiled and said, "Why don't I wait for you together?" I didn't speak for a long time. 5 minutes later, the two finished cooking at the same time. Kawashima Rei walked over to Lin Fan, looked at it, and then looked at me for a long time. Then he was pleasantly surprised. "It's all fried pork ribs?" Lin Fan said with a smile. "No, this is spicy pork ribs. It is an upgraded masterpiece based on Totsuki Kuga's original recipe. Please try it. I believe that after tasting this pork ribs, you will definitely love it." 35. I'm here. I really won't let the other party know that even if he is very obsessed with spicy Chinese food, it's just a little bit of fur. 5. Having said that, Lin Fan strode to the judge's table and put down the ribs. For a long time, I followed closely. The 3 judges looked at them carefully, and there was nothing special about these 2 rows of ribs, just in terms of appearance. The same is fried and crispy, wrapped in a spicy soup that makes you mouth-watering. The 2 judges were stunned, discussing who should try it first. Lin Fan smiled calmly and said, "Because mine has been upgraded on his recipe, that is to say, if the 3 seniors eat mine first. If you try another dish later, it will only be boring." I was shocked for a long time. Lin Fan then added, "Maybe it would be better to eat him first." 35, but I was thinking if I tasted yours first. Then when you taste my cooking, that sense of contrast may give me more points for the dishes I cook. Lin Fan wanted to laugh as he talked. "This is so insulting. I have been going straight for a long time, and I quit on the spot." Immediately retorted, "I am very confident in my cooking. There is no such thing as you said." "You're just playing tricks." Lin Fan shrugged and said with a smile, "I didn't want to talk to you. I'm afraid I won't have a chance in the future. I really like that piece of land in your club." Maybe there are many people in Tsuki who have been coveting that land for a long time, right? Thank you for taking care of that land so well. After speaking, Lin Fan was not talking. For a long time, I was trembling with anger. Afterwards, the judges subconsciously picked up the dish of Totsuki Kuga. I ignored the bickering between the two and took a bite of the ribs. This chapter contains pictures. Click the illustration button in the lower right corner of the screen to view the pictures. Chapter 91, Cooking with 5 Elements. 4 nights for subscription. The judges tasted Yuga Totsuki's spicy pork ribs. In an instant, I was shocked by the maddening spiciness of the ribs. The faces of the 3 judges quickly turned red. The blood rushed to the top of the skull, as if half of a volcano was about to erupt. This degree of spiciness, seeing the names of the students in the audience, a burst of amazement. No matter what, Jiuai Zhaoji is always the 8th seat of the Elite 10, and the strength is still there. Yeah, no one can control the spiciness like this, right? If you use it inappropriately, you will be attacked immediately. 5, of course, someone can handle it. Lin Fan. I'm still looking forward to the taste of Lin Fan's spicy fried pork ribs. Isn't it the kind that is so spicy that it will explode? But seeing the appearance of the 3 judges, it seems to be very spicy. These students are like grass on the wall. A little trouble, and immediately began to defect. In the last second, he was still boasting about Lin Fan's ability to be very strong. And after hearing the discussion for a long time, I took a deep breath. Then there was a sigh of relief, a look of impending doom on his face. I saw for a long time, I hugged my hands according to the discipline and said with a smile, "Your senior is always your senior. If you entered this circle early, then you must have something special. I'm so sorry. I'm afraid you won't be able to take the land of my club. Next time, remember to work hard and do more homework before imitating me." Looking at it this way, the spice inequalities you bragged about just now are similar to Mimisaka Subaru's copy-paste in my opinion. I even think it's not as good as him. After all, before copying and pasting, people took the time to investigate and research, and you, with just one mouth. But for a long time, I spoke in a yin and yang manner. After thinking about it, he looked at Lin Fan and said disdainfully, "I have always said that I am very cherished for talent. I don't mind you being my subordinate. After all, a genius like you is a once in a century. As a senior, I won't care too much about Zhijin." 35 after a long time, I was talking and grinning. It seems that after the jury has tasted his dishes, the results are already nailed. Afterwards, he turned around and looked proudly at the Elite 10s in the VIP seats. You know, if you can directly defeat Lin Fan now, it will be more exciting than defeating Eishi Tsukasa. Lin Fan did it in Tsuki. It was annoying, but there was no way to get him. Once he loses power, I am afraid that those who step on him will all queue up. However, Lin Fan stood by the side, calmly from beginning to end. Before the judges wanted to taste his dishes, he said a word. "You are really helpless." Spice inequality, the combination of spices in Chinese cuisine, is not something that a frivolous person like you can understand. After speaking, he turned to look at the judges. I saw Nakiri Senzaman, the first one to quickly pick up a piece of spare ribs. The old man was particularly optimistic about Lin Fan's cooking by eating halberd continuously. The chopsticks are added, and if you observe carefully, it is not much different from the spare ribs of Juga Teruji. But on the spice, it seems to smell strange. Take a bite. Kakaka, the familiar feeling returned. The crispy ribs on the outside. After a bite, the tender and rich gravy inside immediately overflowed. This is to be expected. However, next, a miracle happened. I saw Nakiri Senzaman, chewed it in surprise, and swallowed it. Pick up a piece of spare ribs again, and taste again. This taste, every bite is different. 35 as soon as such a comment came out. Everyone on the field was shocked. The 2 judges next to it also tasted it carefully. One of the judges said, "The only word I can think of at this moment is to overturn the river." 99. This spice is like a violent storm, ruthlessly ravaging my taste buds, making me unable to resist. And in the mouth, this storm of aromas, they seem to be diverse, constantly changing. 99. It is always changing, and every change in fusion will be a brand new taste. Another judge was excited. It's incredible. How did Lin Fan do it? 35. This fusion of multiple elements has a distinct sense of hierarchy, and this chili is different from the spiciness I have known before. This chili is fragrant, Nakiri Senzaman said. Yes, it does taste like chili peppers. There's also a vague spiciness of chili peppers, but this is different from Jiujiao, his spicy stir-fried pork ribs. As soon as you eat it, the whole mouth is full of spicy. It seems a little too spicy. It's hemp here. 35. My tongue and my sense of taste from start to finish were paralyzed by these two flavors. 35. However, if there is no comparison with Lin Fan's dish, I may feel that this spicy stir-fried pork ribs from Jiuai Zhaoji is very spicy. 99. However, compared to this dish cooked by Lin Fan, it is different now. 99. It's also chili. In Lin Fan's cuisine, spicy and spicy are not dominant, but they are indispensable. The chili peppers are fragrant. Yes, it's the first time I've eaten it. In addition to stimulating people's nerves with spiciness, chili can achieve a sense of pleasure. It's still so fragrant. After eating it, not only did I feel happy, but my whole body became a lot more energetic. I still feel the power from cooking. 39. This power is the passion and hope of the young man in cooking. This is the essence of Lin Fan's cooking. 35. The more Nakiri Senzaman spoke, the more excited he became. Wow, in an instant, the placket burst again. Surprised off the field. Broken. If Senior enters this state, it will prove that Lin Fan's cooking is really good. Also, only Lin Fan's cooking can make Nakiri Senpai go crazy over and over again. Have you ever seen the Great Demon King so obsessed with cooking? No, it's only when I eat Lin Fan's food. It's the first time I've seen it. It's horrible. 0.flowers00. Everyone was talking. After a long time, I retorted, impossible. Lin Fan used the same technique before, and even the spiciness was even more exaggerated than mine, but after eating it, it would make people sweaty. However, it is impossible that the gap is so big at this moment. After a long time, I started to get excited. This sudden heaven, all of a sudden hell, he couldn't accept it in a short time. However, Lin Fan looked at him and smiled. Wrong. That's why I said you don't know Chinese cuisine at all. For a long time, I was shocked. What? Why do you say I don't understand? Lin Fan chuckled. Do you know the effect of chili peppers? Although there are peppers in the entire Chinese cuisine, you have forgotten that the combination of ingredients must also have its value and significance. Because the southwestern region of China is different from the northern region, where the winter is very cold and humid. So the role of peppers can dispel dampness and warm the body. 9. But you overlooked one thing. What season is it now? It's summer now. Do you know what it means to eat a lot of chili during this season? 5. Without sweating, it will only backfire. Of course, if you can match it and put in the right amount, it doesn't matter. But with your amount, are you sure it's for food, not for people to sleep on the toilet tonight? Poof! There was a sudden burst of laughter off the court. Kuga Taruki felt extremely ashamed to be laughed at by a freshman in the lower grades. I really want to find a hole to dig into. Jiuai Zhaoji still retorted. You also used chili. Lin Fan shook his head and said, I said just now in moderation. Nakiri Senpai also said that there's a fragrance in the chili. Why is that? Spice inequality. Here it integrates Chinese culture and also uses the 5 elements in culture, the 5 kinds of qi that interact and move constantly. After a long time, I started to feel confused. It's like listening to a book from heaven. Not only Juga Taruji, but also the jury behind Lin Fan were all confused. Kuga Taruki was about to speak, but was interrupted by Nakiri Senzaman. Don't interrupt, let Lin Fan finish. After a long time, I took the words to my mouth and swallowed them back, feeling extremely aggrieved. Lin Fan said with a smile, the 5 elements and the 5 movements of qi, according to modern terms, can be understood as the 5 attributes that interact and coexist with each other. 5. The spice inequality I'm talking about uses these 5. And speaking here, I have to mention the internal scriptures. The 5 elements correspond to the super 5 senses, and the same is true for spices. In terms of matching, entering the viscera, entering the spleen and stomach, these are very particular. 5 isn't that you who only know a little bit of fur and just stare at mala. I'm here. I'm reminding you for the last time that your spicy fried pork ribs is not a real Chinese food. I am shocked for a long time. Chapter 92, Black Kirin, Expansion by Strength, 5/9 for subscription. After a long time, Zhaoji exclaimed, "Do you know what you were talking about now?" For Lin Fan's remarks just now, he was directly angry. At that time, it was okay for Lin Fan to question him in the club. After all, he was in his own territory. Now, in front of the teachers and students of the whole school, there are countless people sitting in this venue. In front of so many people, there is no doubt that he is publicly humiliating him. You must know that one of the Elite Tens, just like this, was always scolded by Lin Fan for training children. For a long time, I couldn't bear it any longer. However, once again, he was stopped by Nakiri Senzaman. "Nakiri Senpai." Before he finished speaking, Nakiri Senzaman replied, "Let Lin Fan finish it." 35 for a long time. I have been wronged according to discipline. Before Lin Fan, where did he get this kind of anger? Lin Fan smiled proudly and continued, "What did you just say? Oh, long my ribs, not real Chinese food. Years, that's just your obsession." 05, 3-inch. 99 for a long time. I was so angry that my teeth were itching. Lin Fan continued, "In your spicy pork ribs, only chili peppers and peppercorns are used, but they're just empty shells. And really, when it comes to seasoning sauces, balsamic vinegar sauces, the approach is Italian. What's even more outrageous is the cooking method. And I see the shadow of French cuisine. Do you sell dog meat with a sheep's head? In every way, this dish is a total failure." After finishing speaking, Lin Fan looked at Nakiri Senzaman and said calmly, "Sorry, senior. It's a bit abrupt. Just seeing someone messing around makes me angry." 35. I don't allow anyone to desecrate Chinese food like this. 5. You either do it well or you don't do it. It's weird and miserable ingredients like this. Lin Fan put away his smiling face and spoke very seriously. However, he added, "I'm not asking for your opinion. I'm warning you." 5. I haven't seen Lin Fan in such a state for a long time. His face was expressionless. His face was indifferent, and his eyes were sharp. His tone made him feel chills down his spine. After a long time, I followed the rules and subconsciously took a few steps back. Cough, cough. At this time, Nakiri Senzaman interrupted the awkward atmosphere on the field. Seeing him say calmly, "Let's vote next." 35. I'll go first. I vote for Lin Fan. After all, I agree with what he just said. No matter from which aspect, Lin Fan's statement is valid. Let's put other things aside. It's just a matter of the amount of chili peppers. Indeed, at the height of summer, if you put in a lot of chili peppers, it will be counterproductive and cause physical discomfort. 35. So, just for this point, I vote for Lin Fan. 39. Having said that, Nakiri Senzaman looked at the judges on the side. The 2 judges on the side looked at each other and discussed in a low voice. Then, another representative spoke up. The 2 of us unanimously decided to vote for Lin Fan in the end. Wow, shocked off the field. Even if I knew the ending, I was still shocked after hearing it with my own ears. The judge continued, as Nakiri Senpai said just now. 5. Let's not talk about the combination of those spices and the question of whether to stray from the topic. As far as chili peppers are concerned, Lin Fan's method is indeed higher than Jigoro Juji. 35. It's the combination of those spices that coexist with each other, so that the taste of the peppers becomes much milder. It's very easy to eat, so the 2 of us voted for Lin Fan, which is well-founded. While the discussion off the field became more pronounced. Lin Fan wins again without any suspense. 35. We have already defeated the 10th, 9th, and 8th seeds in a row. I really want to fight one-on-one in one breath. It seems that it is very possible that Lin Fan can really do it. Looks like I'll have to think about it. Maybe he can really beat Eishi Tsukasa. What do you think? Eishi Tsukasa is not only a student, but also a very good professional chef. Okay, let's wait and see. At this time, Kawashima Rei still returned to the middle of the stage. Feeling extremely excited, he said, "This is incredible. Lin Fan has already picked 2 Elite 10s in one go. And what's even more shocking is his results in Tsuki, big and small. The student union has made statistics, and Lin Fan has always maintained a 100% win rate. It's unbelievable, really unbelievable. However, in this halberd matchup, I still lost 0-3 according to Jujio. According to the rules before the game, his Chinese Cuisine Research Institute and the land will be owned by Lin Fan. Woo! Off the field, the members of the Polar Star House all stood up and cheered subconsciously. Yoshino Yuki used all his strength and shouted, "Lin Fan, go back in the evening," and Granny Wenshu said she wants to get us something delicious. "You are simply amazing." Lin Fan smiled at her, and Shurji arrived here, and the intermission was over. Sitting in the stadium like this all the time, no one can stand zero. There's a break at noon. However, Lin Fan did another meaningful thing. With people, I went to the building that was taken from the Kiri Arena, ready to clear the handover. Then, there is Teruki Kuga's cooking club. As soon as I entered the Chinese restaurant, it was different from the last time. One by one neatly placed there. The club members cheered the moment they saw Lin Fan. "Lin Fan, it's Lin Fan. The rumor is true. He's coming to take over the club. God lucky. Yeah, I don't have to be like a robot every day, and I don't have to keep flipping spoons. Lin Fan's Chinese cuisine is very good. I wanted to join his club for a long time. Now it's all right. Everyone is happy. 5. Hey, pay attention. My senior is still here for a long time." The members cheered, but when I saw the long-term Aizaoji, I was dejected and appeared behind Lin Fan. Looking at the restaurant, I am unhappy. This is all my heart. For a long time, I gritted my teeth and said, Lin Fan said with a smile, "Didn't you see their happy expressions? I think this is a relief for you." It's no one's fault. After a long time, I thought about it and replied, "I thought a lot on the way here. I think what you said is very reasonable. So, can I ask you for advice in the future about Chinese cuisine?" Lin Fan thought for a while and replied, "Then see my mood." Having said that, he ordered someone to remove those mechanized stoves. Lin Fan wants to clean up this place according to his ideas. I looked at Zhao Ji for a long time, and my face was distressed. That is also impossible. Lin Fan was not talking. 0.0 passed by. Black Kirin Chinese Cuisine Research Institute. The scale has expanded again. After lunch, the students returned to the venue again. Kawashima Rei was still standing on the stage and said with a smile, "Welcome everyone back. 9. Next, the afternoon halberd competition will become more and more nervous. Can Lin Fan keep his 100% win rate or get killed by one of the remaining Elite 10s? 5. Let's have the 2 of you on the field. The next person to eat with Lin Fan is the 7th seed of the Tsuki Elite 10, Ishiki Satoshi." Wow, when I heard Ishiki Satoshi's name, there was an uproar. Cute dividing line, chapter 93, respect you. Only let Jardura's sword come to the world, 6 9 for subscription. As soon as Ishiki Satoshi's name came out, there was an uproar. Because this name is not only known by everyone, because he is one of the Tsuki Elite 10. The most important thing for everyone is that Ishiki Satoshi and Lin Fan are roommates. And Tsuki rumored that their relationship is very good. Everyone thinks that this is where Tsuki is cruel. Even if the relationship is good, they will eventually turn against each other in order to survive here. For a time, the students began to gossip again. It turns out that this is plastic brotherhood. It looks like this is a fight against each other. According to Lin Fan's personality, he will definitely make a fortune. Everyone thinks so. Ishiki Satoshi, still squinting, looks kind. Walks slowly to the stage. As he walked, he said, "Don't get me wrong. I agree to stand here. Not because I want to turn against Lin Fan, as you said. 99. Actually, Lin Fan's strength is very strong. I just want to learn from him normally. Without any emotion. 5. It's just a discussion between chefs and chefs." 35. After speaking, Ishiki Satoshi looked at Lin Fan, squinted and smiled. "Last time, The night you just came to Polar Star Dorm. I can see that your strength is very strong. Then I want to have a good experience with you. 08, but I wasn't sure at the time. I didn't know your true strength. I was afraid of being misunderstood by you. I thought I was deliberately trying to find fault. So, today's opportunity. Show your strength and give it a try. Lin Fan laughed and said, so that's the case. Then I'm happy to accompany you to the end. 39 Kawashima Rei stood aside and was ignored for a long time. Seeing her walking to the middle, I asked the staff to bring up the lottery box. Reaching out and grabbing a piece of paper, I opened it. Wow. 35 Kawashima Rei was a little surprised, so she pointed the note to the camera and said, it's chicken. The theme of this halberd is chicken. Here, let's talk about chicken. Because the ingredients are all provided in the morning, and this time, it's the weekend again, the suppliers are all off. So at this moment, the chicken in the ingredients area is not fresh compared to when it was brought in the morning. Unless the two of you are now preparing the ingredients yourself. However, if the stipulated time is only 1 hour from the venue to the Polar Star Vegetable Garden and back from the vegetable garden, the two of you shouldn't have to eat the halberd anymore. Just announce the end. I feel that even if it is not so fresh, it is possible to bring out the most perfect taste of such ingredients. 35. This is the core of the theme of this game. Come on. 2. After speaking, Kawashima Rei still silently retreated to a corner. Ishiki Satoshi looked at Lin Fan and said with a smile, how should I go back to Polar Star Dorm? Lin Fan laughed. Don't be so troublesome. Just now, the host also said that it is often such ingredients that better reflect our strength, isn't it? Ishiki Satoshi smiled and nodded. That's exactly what I meant. 39. So, the two went to the ingredients area, took the chicken, and selected some ingredients for later use. Lin Fan returned to the cooking area and looked at the chicken in his hand. It has been out for a long time, and there is definitely no way to compare it with the fresh one. Even the cheap chicken sold in the supermarket is definitely better than this in terms of freshness. However, this is not a problem at all. Just now, Ishiki Satoshi emphasized that Lin Fan should do his best. Lin Fan looked back at the kitchen utensils box, then let him be convinced. So, I went to the kitchen box and opened it. Seeing this, Kawashima Rei immediately came over. Lin Fan, I think your box is like Doraemon's treasure box. Always come out with amazing kitchen utensils. What is this time? Lin Fan smiled and said nothing. He rummaged inside to find a kitchen knife. A kitchen knife wrapped in cloth. Kawashima Rei was about to ask, but Lin Fan took the knife cloth away. Kakaka in an instant. The kitchen knife in Lin Fan's hand shines brightly under the spotlight. Wow, everyone in the venue was once again shocked. Rei Kawashima, who was closest, exclaimed, how does this knife still shine? What's the matter? Like the 7-star sword from last time, it will also shine. But this time, the knife is even more dazzling. Kawashima Rei exclaimed. However, the students off the field were even more excited and took out their mobile phones to take pictures. The kitchen knife itself is shining, but this is in the spotlight, which is even more dazzling. It's too powerful. How many good things are hidden in Lin Fan's kitchen box? I really want to steal his box and have a look. Come on, didn't he say before that these kitchen utensils are tailor-made and they can't be used if they are replaced? So who? Mito Yumei has personally tested it. Don't think too much. This guy's kitchen utensils just blow my mind. 99 on the side, Ishiki Satoshi, who was already cooking with peace of mind. He opened his eyes instantly and looked at the golden kitchen knife in Lin Fan's hand. At this point, he grinned. It seems that Lin Fan is serious. Ishiki Satoshi was pleasantly surprised. It seemed that he could compete with Lin Fan in cooking without hesitation. At this moment, the light of the kitchen knife in Lin Fan's hand gradually faded. When everyone is acclimated, this kitchen knife shines brightly in the spotlight. Only then did people see clearly that the kitchen knife in Lin Fan's hand was different. I saw the shape of the entire kitchen knife, no different from a typical Chinese kitchen knife. This kitchen knife has a phoenix pattern on the blade. Under the spotlight, the phoenix on the blade is looming. Very gorgeous. Kawashima Rei was surprised. Student Lin, your kitchen knife is so special, and the workmanship is quite unique. 99. Does this knife have a name? 35. What's the function? It's also cutting meat. Why don't you use the previous 7-star knife? Lin Fan wiped the blade with a knife cloth and said with a smile. 053. This knife is called the Garuda knife. Kawashima Rei wondered. The Garuda sword? What kind of sword is that? 35. Lin Fan laughed. I took it out just for this piece of chicken. This Garuda knife is a kitchen knife that can purify the flesh of all birds and beasts in an instant. Even if the chicken is not fresh now, you can use this knife to cut the chicken and restore its original freshness instantly. Wow, the whole audience was shocked. This is too ridiculous. A kitchen knife can instantly extract the meat quality, make stale meat fresh. Is this magic? Indeed, Lin Fan's bullshit is a bit too much. It's outrageous. That's right. If it is said that through his cooking skills, using the perfect spices, it is possible to hide the staleness of the chicken. But he said it is this knife. I don't believe that there are such amazing kitchen knives in this world. Outrageous. I just think it's outrageous, impossible, and it's not magic. An iron knife, how can it change the flesh? It's not necessarily referring to the fierce bull, Qinglong / hasn't this kind of thing happened before? All in all, the students talked a lot and said they couldn't believe it. Even Kawashima Rei shook his head and said, Student Lin, I think you're joking a little too far. Cute dividing line. Chapter 94 Surprised. Even the ingredients will glow. 7/9 for subscription. Obviously, Kawashima Rei couldn't believe it. Everyone present thought that Lin Fan was telling a joke. After all, how could such a fantasy plot that can only be watched on TV appear in life? Of course, all this was completely within Lin Fan's expectations. So, without saying a word, he went back to the cooking table and prepared to process the ingredients. On the other hand, Ishiki Satoshi cooks well. It is meticulous and unaffected in the slightest, as if no one around exists. At this moment, Ishiki Satoshi lives only in his own world and is ecstatic about cooking ingredients. All eyes on the scene were focused on Lin Fan. After all, there is nothing special about Ishiki Satoshi. I saw Lin Fan holding the Garuda sword in his hand, still a familiar movement. Twisted easily in the hand twice. Then, the whole chicken that has been slaughtered will be changed. Whoosh whoosh, knife down, ka-ka-ka. In an instant, a golden light burst out from the place where the Garuda sword slashed. Everyone is shocked. However, it's not over yet. Another cut. At the incision, another golden light burst out quickly. Next in is a knife. A knife followed by another knife. Lin Fan's skills are still so fast and agile. Suddenly, the whole chicken was surrounded by golden light. Dazzling. It's so dazzling. All the people in the venue exclaimed. Even Nakiri Senzaman, who was sitting in the middle of the jury, was so surprised that he didn't even dare to blink. For fear of blinking an eye, you will miss it. In the stadium, there was a scream which was deafening. Oh my God, the dishes you make will glow, the kitchen knives will glow, and now even the ingredients will glow? This is a lighting professional? Can anyone tell me why this is? Could it be because the glowing kitchen knife cuts out glowing ingredients and then makes glowing dishes? Before this, I never saw Lin Fan take out this knife. I always have a hunch that this is not Lin Fan's full strength. He must be even more powerful. I'm so excited right now. Watching Lin Fan eat halberd is so exciting. The students in the auditorium watched while discussing. Even if everyone didn't dare to blink, they still couldn't see his movements of changing the knife. I just saw that on the edge of the cutting board, pieces of chicken that had been cut into pieces were lying there quietly. Not just chicken nuggets. Chicken slices, chicken slices. In short, Lin Fan cut the whole chicken, different parts, in different forms. Just for a brief moment, when Kawashima Rei took a closer look, she was completely dumbfounded. The chicken that has been placed, the meat quality, can't be seen that it has been placed for most of the day. Like freshly butchered, Kawashima Rei exclaimed. Quick, the cameraman will give a close-up. 99. Isn't the chicken that Lin Fan has treated with a Garuda knife the same as fresh? 55. It's not that I am blinded. According to my experience, this is just slaughtered. 5. Kawashima Rei said, looking up at the cameraman. The cameraman was dumbfounded and looked back at Lin Fan. Subconsciously nodded and gestured to her. This is true. Ishiki Satoshi, who was cooking attentively on the side, couldn't hold back any longer and trotted over immediately. Take a closer look. If we hadn't been in the same area at the same time and picked the same ingredients, I couldn't believe it. 39 saying that. Ishiki Satoshi took out the chicken in his hand for comparison. Color, capillaries, fleshy fibers. This is a world of difference. At this time, Ishiki Satoshi realized the gap between him and Lin Fan. It's not about cooking, that's a different story. Ishiki Satoshi thinks he's lost in swordsmanship. With this kind of knife method, the ingredients cut out, to a certain extent, have surpassed his cooking. Lin Fan won at the starting line. Rei Kawashima was thinking about asking Ishiki Satoshi. I saw that Ishiki Satoshi suddenly became serious, and the previous relaxation was long gone. He turned around silently, without saying a word, and returned to his cooking table. Keep processing the ingredients. Even if he knows, he will do his best to finish the cooking. Time passed by every second. There was tension everywhere in the venue. Ishiki Satoshi was engrossed. He had never been more serious than this moment. Use all your strength to deal with this halberd. On Lin Fan's side, he is also handling the ingredients very seriously. As a chef, handling the ingredients seriously is not only respecting the opponent, but also respecting the ingredients and the profession. In the venue, the atmosphere of the two infected everyone. Kawashima Rei is no longer like the previous few games, with the Twitter rendering atmosphere. Instead, he was serious and silently stood by and watched. The students also watched intently, and occasionally someone whispered, and they would be regarded as aliens. Everyone waited quietly and patiently. After half an hour, after Lin Fan finished placing the last piece of chicken on the plate, he took a deep breath and let out. Everyone, assorted chicken platter is complete. Please try it. At this time, Ishiki Satoshi was not to be outdone and finally showed a long-lost smile. Seeing him squinting again, he smiled and said, single quote, "This is a bowl made with chicken as the main ingredient. Please try it." After speaking, Ishiki Satoshi breathed a sigh of relief. The relaxation after the high tension is really a sweaty halberd showdown. At this time, the audience off the field, the string that was stretched, can finally relax. The atmosphere in the venue returned to its previous ease again. The two took the dishes and walked to the judges' table to put them down. The three judges looked at it carefully. The two have completely different cooking styles. Nakiri Senzaman said, "Wanwu, it can be said to be one of the most essential dishes in our daily life. And I drink it every day. Since it is the most familiar, it must be the most difficult to do." 35, because everyone has a different understanding of bowls. Being able to make a soup that satisfies everyone is really a test of the chef's skill. After speaking, Nakiri Senzaman looked at Lin Fan again. Assorted chicken platter, the Li Hao, not to mention the knife technique you used just now, the idea of this recipe is very good. In the form of multiple flavors, the whole chicken is displayed, which diversifies the choices of diners. The dishes of the two are very perfect. I don't know if the taste will be the same as the appearance. The adjudicator next to him said, having a bite of Lin Fan's assorted chicken and a bite of Ishiki Satoshi's soup. If it weren't for the halberd competition, this would be the perfect food pairing. Nakiri Senzaman nodded. Subconsciously, he stretched out his chopsticks to the assorted chicken, picked up a random piece, and ate it in my mouth. Here is the lovely dividing line. Chapter 95 Assorted Chicken Platter versus Changed Chicken Bowls. 8/9 for subscription. Nakiri Senzaman picks up a random piece of chicken and eats it in his mouth. I saw him nod silently while eating. This state seems to be very enjoyable. However, compared to the previous one, when he entered, he was so excited that his clothes burst. Lin Fan's dish seems to be much milder. This inevitably makes people wonder if it is caused by Lin Fan's high-intensity cooking. After all, the body is mortal. I am afraid that Qinglong is exhausted. Nakiri Senzaman still tastes carefully. Once again, he has shown the world his scheming side. Can't guess what he was thinking. After chewing it carefully and swallowing it, Senzaman said, "Is this the original one?" It is baked with sea salt and salt, which is one of the classics in Chinese cuisine. In addition to the freshness of the ingredients and the time control just in place, the taste of the sea salt baked chicken is very delicious. Saying that, Nakiri Senzaman turned his gaze to a chicken nugget again. Seeing his hesitation, Lin Fan explained, "This is halal." Then he pointed to the one on the side and said, "The one over there is stir-frying, and there is the one over there braised in oil. By the way, in order to have a sharp contrast, the chicken slices on the Mo side are the chicken naked." Yes, you heard right, naked. The chicken that has been treated with 0.53 by the Garuda knife must be fresher. Nakiri Senzaman hesitated. Looking at the two judges on the side, I was a little hesitant to see them. After all, even if it looks fresh on the surface, the chicken has been sitting for most of the day. Considering various factors, the three judges still hesitated. However, Lin Fan simply took a slice with his chopsticks and ate it in his mouth as if nothing had happened. Nakiri Senzaman was slightly embarrassed. That's not what it means as a professional jury. Cooking with professional chefs is definitely no problem. Saying that, Nakiri Senzaman picked up a thin slice of chicken, roll twice on the dip, and eat it in your mouth. After the first entrance, the moment when the upper and lower teeth touch the chicken. Shock! Shock! However, the two judges on the side, seeing Nakiri Senzaman's reaction, rushed to taste it. Moment. The three judges are like eating shienmai. Can't stop for a moment. Eat one bite after another. Everyone was amazed. This contrast, Nakiri Senzaman said while eating, "It's so fresh, it's so delicious. I didn't expect this chicken to be so delicious. How can it be so delicious?" And this dipping sauce, this kind of seasoning, is Lin Fan's specialty, where his soul is. On the other hand, the two judges have long been speechless. Even after eating one of his own, he began to fight for it. Wow, once again, the field is boiling again. Lin Fan looked at Ishiki Satoshi and shrugged. This group of viewers is also very tired. It's been a whole day, and their emotions are up and down. Lin Fan said jokingly, "I don't know how long it took, but the three judges finally calmed down." Looking at Ishiki Satoshi's bowls, Nakiri Senzaman said, "That said, after eating Lin Fan's dishes and drinking this bowl of soup, it can be said to be the most perfect enjoyment." Saying that, Senzaman picked up the soup bowl and drank it. It was simply fun. I saw him pleasantly surprised. This chicken is in it. It has a magical effect. And the most amazing thing is that you have miso soup hidden in the clam soup. 99, you combine the two flavors into one, but you get a distinct layering. 39, with the addition of chicken, it's the icing on the cake. You two's dishes really make you feel good after eating. 35, but Nakiri Senzaman's expression immediately turned serious. Seeing him continue, "But this is a halberd eating showdown between the two of you. Since it is a halberd, there must be a win and a loss." Actually, the moment I ate Lin Fan's cuisine, I had the answer in my heart. When Ishiki Satoshi heard this, he had already understood. Nakiri Senzaman said, "Ishiki, your bowl is perfect, but you should know without me telling you. Where is the gap between you?" 99 through Lin Fan's challenge to Elite 10 this time, I understand one thing. Chefs not only need high-end ingredients, but also superb cooking skills. For the knife skills of ingredients, this must also be a compulsory course for every chef. 35, with such a solid student like Lin Fan, I have been in the food industry for many years. Just seeing a student makes me think that his strength is very strong, but it's a pity. Nakiri Senzaman seemed to be lost in thought, but soon he continued. Today's scene is really a bit of a reenactment. The student who once picked 50 by 1 today, Lin Fan, you are the second student who can make me think that the strength is very strong. Keep it up. This vote, I vote for Lin Fan. Ishiki Satoshi's expression was calm, and he had expected such an ending just now. Gladly accepted. The two judges on the side also followed suit. The two said in unison, "We also agreed that Lin Fan's cooking is better, so our vote is also for Lin Fan." Ishiki Satoshi nodded, looked at Lin Fan, and smiled. "Lin Fan, you are really strong. This time, I really didn't release water. I used all my strength to fight against you in this halberd battle. For me, I really want to thank you because I have gained a lot. Lin Fan nodded and smiled. Ishiki Satoshi turned around and walked off the stage without looking back. No one could guess what he was thinking at the moment. However, what everyone can guess at the moment is that everyone's focus is on Lin Fan. Kawashima Rei was so excited that she wanted to sprinkle flowers on the stage. This is really shocking. Lin Fan wins again and still maintains his 100% win rate. 35. This is so simple, already breaking Tsuki's record. As a freshman, he challenged the Totsuki Elite 10-1 by himself. At this moment, the glory of victory belongs to Lin Fan alone. Let's cheer for it. Pat, pat, pat. There were bursts of cheers and thunderous applause from the field. Lin Fan is still standing calmly on the stage, enjoying this deserved honor. After a while, the students calmed down. Rei Kawashima continued. And then, can Lin Fan maintain this amazing record? 35. The next person to appear is Ning Ning of Jijigua. Lovely dividing line. Chapter 96. The head-to-head confrontation between Chinese cuisine and neon cuisine. September 9th for subscription. After the voice fell, a cyan-haired girl in a school uniform with double ponytails walked calmly to the front of the stage. Wearing glasses, he looks calm. After walking on stage, look at Lin Fan. It can be seen that she dislikes Lin Fan very much, and there is even disdain in her eyes. At this time, Kawashima Rei saw this and said with a smile, Lin is a freshman. Maybe he doesn't know much about Jijigua. Kinokuni, a classmate who was born in Kandasoba. Her family is a soba family. 35. It's a super first-class shop that has been passed down to the present day and continues to grow. 35. However, Kinokuni is not only highly accomplished in soba noodles, but it is said that he was trained to cook kaiseki in his family since he was a child. It's very amazing. It's also one of the classmates in the Totsuki Elite 10 who has experience as a real cook. Oh. 359. Kawashima Rei said excitedly. When the voice fell, the students in the auditorium once again boiled. Because Ning Ning, the country of the country, represents the school of Edo buckwheat in the country, the status of which is seen to be extraordinary. Therefore, one by one, as if they were beaten with blood, they shouted in an instant. Ning Ning of Jijigua, come on. This time, I can't support Lin Fan anymore. She represents the traditional cuisine of my country. Yes, but even though Lin Fan's cooking skills are superb, Kitsukuni is a first-class family of the Edo soba genre. It's completely incomparable. But then again, Lin Fan's noodle cooking skills are also very good, but well, still support Jijigua 9 kaiseki cuisine. Really in awe, the students kept talking. Jijigua Ning Ning on the stage seemed to be used to this kind of flattery. What's more is to enjoy the admiration cast by the crowd and feel that all this is taken for granted. Therefore, from the moment she stepped onto the stage, from the beginning to the end, she never opened her eyes to look at Lin Fan. Kawashima Rei felt a little embarrassed. So, quickly turn your attention. Next, it's up to me to draw lots for the two of you to decide the theme of this game. However, as soon as Rei Kawashima finished speaking, Lin Fan interrupted her immediately. No need to draw lots. Kawashima Rei was shocked. Lin Fan said calmly, isn't she a buckwheat family? Then the theme is the face. Kawashima Rei was surprised and looked at Jijigua Ning Ning. Then he said,
No more novels? Take part in the voting. The most requested novels and those with the most likes will be chosen for publication on euroaudiobooks.com. There, I can upload as much as I want without the risk of receiving a strike. Our 18 novels and other content that exceed what is morally acceptable are only published on Patreon or the free novels page. Remember, the site is funded by donations on Ko-fi and Patreon memberships.